Hello.
Hello. Here.
Okay. It worked this time.
How about that? Wow.
Go. What up? Oh, I see you with the. Okay. That's new.
It's my Well, you know, gonna what is it? I'm gonna be homeless in a month. I might as well make the look.
You're right. You're right.
Nah, I think it's just because I'm gonna go on active duty again in a little bit. I just let it grow out because I don't care. Whatever. It's not like, I've just been editing for the past couple weeks. It's not like I'm being terribly social anyway.
Very true. It doesn't look
So
bad. It just makes you look slightly older.
yeah, I learned that actually. People do treat me differently when I have a mustache.
Makes sense.
It's weird. Yeah, people, because I look like 10 years older or something, people do treat me a little bit differently.
You get the respect you deserve.
Yeah, sure. What's new? I mean, I don't know. We all know what's new. We talk every day, basically.
True. Yeah. We're just waiting for the one.
The workaholic himself.
The
Steam train.
The steam train.
Kind of. He has been the one propelling this thing forward at the rate it's been going.
And he is.
So
Crazy.
I'm sure he's just as excited to finally work on the end of Snake Way after doing Snake Way music for 16 freaking episodes.
Yo.
Hey guys.
Hey.
There he is.
Here.
I'm dark. I'm light. Yes.
There he is.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you guys perfect. You can hear me?
Great. Yeah, we
Boy,
can hear.
can I.
Marcel, does your shirt, it looks like the Red Letter Media VCR repair thing.
No, it isn't. Yeah, it's just it's one of my nice shirts, so I just threw it on because it's almost like a polo. I do have a polo, but I don't like wearing it. It's uncomfortable.
Fair enough.
Well, boys, we're here.
I keep forgetting how. Yeah, I know, right? I keep forgetting how nerdy Joe's basement is.
Don't forget you have the virtual backgrounds too.
Yeah, but I'm concerned that like Goku might stick his head through or something. Or the orange bricks might just cause everything to collapse.
True.
Could happen.
It could happen.
I also have that pulled up on my computer on my second monitor here. Even though it's like I said, I sort of took like a week and a half to just kind of go through all 7 or 8 episodes, however many episodes it was. Power of Nap was mostly all the way through, but it's like I said, I made the orange card because I have, you map so far forward, you're like, okay, we're gonna have to reuse some themes, and the power of imagination has to kick in, and you have to kind of like, they're there and they're not guaranteed to be in that scene, but they're there. So when you compose said red card, you can kind of like look at all the other scenes that it'll play in and be like, okay, is this going to work here? And you don't have to. You should always have the primary scene you're writing to at the forefront of your mind when you're writing, but just like to like keep it in the back of your mind, is it going to work here too? Because that's what I'm always constantly doing whenever you guys write something.
I mean, the orange cards are a genius idea.
Yeah.
Who knows what color I'll think of next?
What other kind of job will you think of next?
Well, on Namek, you need a purple card for Frieza.
Yeah, all the Frieza jobs.
The purple is just clicker.
Yeah, need clicker and a few Blade Runner notes and no melody behind it.
This is not even a joke. This is dead serious.
Frieza's theme is flawless, and I'll hear nothing other than that.
Yeah, sure it is.
I agree.
Thank you.
You guys can be wrong. It's okay. So
I don't think it was overused.
It was pretty good to like listen to a few Cell Games era episodes earlier today, because like the whole time I was listening to it, it's like I love it. It's so good, but there's so many like tracks in it. I'm like, oh yeah, because I've been so like brain first in our edit that it kind of like was a refresher to hear tracks like 16 rips off Cell's Tale and like a whole lot of Cell era tracks that are just so iconic. And then I hear that and I'm like it really feels like I'm watching Cell stuff, and I'm like, this is probably what people expect us to do, is just to use these tracks, but we can't. It's not.
Right.
It's just not the way it's gonna be. And then we only like make tracks iconic through reusing them and making them work for multiple scenes. It's like I said earlier. I would like to try and make like some small overlap between Nappa and Great Ape music, just because they're both heavy things, I guess. But by doing that, the more times you reuse a theme, the more people are going to remember it. You know what I mean? So it's not just saving you guys work. It's also about trying to make it work, because that's the way they would do it in the Faulconer edit. You know what I mean? So
You got your mileage out of Dark Choir.
it's exactly it. Dark Choir makes an appearance in every episode except 26 intentionally, because that's the episode where they take a 3-hour break. And so I thought it would be like nice to kind of take a small breather from it, because I don't know, is like hyperbolic time chamber used in every single Cell Games episode? I didn't actually check, but
Probably not everyone. It's in most of them. Hi, Ripley.
there's a dog back there. Ignore it.
But you know what I thought was really funny when I was going through these this morning, and like really just I sat down and I binged all of these, every last one, just in order, because I had nothing better to do with my taxpayer dollars paying my salary. But Yajirobe in it's 22. I didn't remember how much filler content there was after they arrive, and maybe I just thought of the ocean dub, but my God, so much Yajirobe talking to the
I know. I think I had a conversation about this a long time ago where I'm saying like, okay, there's a lot of filler in like the first episode. Like half the episode's dedicated to Yajirobe and a bunch of like nobodies. So I'm like, okay, I'm definitely gonna need like two filler themes from you. And you make them right, I can make them work for like the next 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Because there needs to be like a broadcast kind of theme, basically, exactly like they did with the Cell Games. It's like the equivalent of the Hercules sneaking around theme, the doom 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 doom. I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about. Basically, like
we know what you're talking about.
every time it cuts to the Hercule and the reporter, or the gang watching on TV, it's like playing that theme, or it's playing the news broadcast theme that they introduced in the early Android arc. So it's like we're constantly it's the same thing where it's like we're constantly cutting to characters watching on TV for this first half. So it's a thing and it needs to be there.
Yeah. Well, they keep going to the broadcast up until Nappa dies, right? Like just before that.
They keep going with the broadcast until Nappa blows up the broadcasters.
Okay, so that's in 20 whatever number it is,
26. Yeah.
Okay.
But I remember there was some bit Rakeem threw together like 6 months ago or something, with Calimbex, and he was just doing his usual like, hey, can you make this work somewhere? And I heard that and I'm like, yeah, this would probably make a good like like Kalimbex, if you like have some kind of simple beat to it, can work for like a Walter Cronkite CNN kind of like tune in. Because Kalimbex can have like a kind of goofy quality to it too, like a half goofy quality to it. So I think it would make a good lead for that, which is probably what I wrote in the red card somewhere.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys use your imagination for that.
We always do.
Yeah, usually pop out something better than what I had in mind. But you guys told me to be more specific in the red card, so I tried to be as specific as I could a lot of the time. And that's why I think that's part of the reason why I've held off doing like the Chaozu scene, because it's a really long scene, and I know if it's the climax of it, if it's done right, it's got to have like a big horrific climax. You know what I'm saying? Because Chaozu blows up. It could be like our version of 16 rips off Cell's tail, where it could be reused constantly for action, mostly in like the Vegeta battle, because like the way it's structured, I'm thinking it could work when Gohan squashes, when Great Ape Gohan squashes Vegeta at the very end. Potentially it could work like that in multiple spots too. So it's like I said, write something versatile and action bit. Maybe we might even use hero harmonics just for intensity. Look, just a little bit.
I heard a green light for hero harmonics.
Look, it has a wildness to it. It could be okay to use. It's not okay to
what?
It's not okay to use for like dialogue, like it is in Majin Buu. You can't hear over people.
I still haven't gotten approval for 74 square, but one day it's coming.
I'm just saying it's
so sad.
It's too fun of a sound.
I had it. I want you to know I have it, and I did not include it, but I do have it recorded in when Goku's going down the end of Snake Way, and he goes over the little hump, and he like kind of bounces off it. He's like suspended in air for a second. Yeah, and that's what it does. And then it does it again as he comes toward the camera.
You know what? Earlier today, when you asked me for thoughts on it, part of me was thinking of saying like you could add a little embellishment when he goes whoop. And
I had one, and then I thought, well, he's going to tell me to take it out, so I'm going to wait until it's further along, and then I'm going to throw it in there.
Well, nothing over the top, just something.
No, it's like subtle. It's just, it really is just like with the beat, whoop, and then that's it, and then a second one octave or one or two notes higher for the next part. You know, just consistent with the track.
Include it in your next demo, and yeah, we'll see.
You know how disappointed I was when I got in the car and realized I screwed up the bass for that this morning.
That's fine.
It was so off. No, it was terrible. I'm just listening, like, what were you thinking?
Start over.
It wasn't terrible.
It was.
I didn't said it was. But that's just Marcelo.
No, he always tells me to start over. But what was the one? What was it? It was that dark track for 17 with right before Chaozu like gets grabbed by those guys. Imminent death. You know, I don't think we kind of ended up going off, so we weren't just clouding the group chat, Rakeem, but we were going at this for close to 3 hours.
That was the most we banged our head against the wall for a track in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like in a while. We haven't banged our head against the wall for a track since like Tien's theme.
Yeah, no, agree, because we were trying to find the right lead for that one.
We might as well go back. I don't think we're going to find any action here.
Then how do we get back?
Good point. Mr. Popo didn't tell us that. Hey, maybe they're too scared to come out and fight us. We might as well go back. I don't think we're going to find any action here.
Then how do we get back?
Good point. Mr. Popo didn't tell us that. Hey, maybe they're too scared to come out and fight.
I tried. I swear there might be 4 different, like completely different versions, not just like mild alterations to the instruments, like fully different melodies. There are 4 imminent death tracks out.
Wow.
We might as well go back. I don't think we're going to find any action here.
Then how do we get back?
Good point. Mr. Popo didn't tell us that. Hey, maybe they're too scared to come out and fight us.
Before we finally landed on one. I don't even remember how we got there, but it was just this iterative process. But I think it took like 25 different versions before we finally hit what's in there.
We might as well go back. I don't think we're going to find any action here.
Then how do we get back?
Good point. Mr. Popo didn't tell us that.
Crazy.
Yeah. What?
Do you remember when you sent the first demo, and then I had the unfortunate message of, because you sent it on like a Friday night, and I sent the unfortunate message saying that I was a little inebriated.
Yes,
at the time. And I when I was with my friend, I cheered, and I'm like, Joe sent me a new demo, and I pulled it up, and because I was like 2 drinks in or something, I said out loud, I'm like, I really like this, but I don't love this.
Well, after we finally landed on what we landed on, I think it fits better for the scene. But just to try to get something out there, I didn't hate it. I love what we have now, especially since now that I saw how you reused it, like in later episodes, it really fit. So I'm glad that
Maybe your older
Tons of
version
apathy.
can be used for something if they were that different.
There is one of them might work for the fake Namek arc in particular.
Well, I remember one of them felt a little too. I described it as a little too Scooby Doo. Felt a little corny, a little campy, like they were in a haunted house. And I'm like,
that was because
okay,
the pizzicato strings. There was like boom, 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 boom.
yeah, like Jinkies.
That's what they did.
That's weird because you like that stuff.
That's why I put it in there.
I
for sure you'd love it.
I mean, I think in a different scene I might, but it just wasn't right for the scene.
I just wanted it to be like straight up hell. So fine.
You're wondering what I'm snacking on, by the way. They're sensu beans.
Awesome.
They are.
They even crunch when you eat them. So
Wait. You spent all that time looking for the sound effect and could have just recorded it?
that's what I'm doing right now. No, patamame. They're literally just like sensu beans, and they're just as crunchy. But yeah, Imminent Death basically just became a Nappa theme by like the latter episodes. I think I was careful not to. It's like when I want to use a theme for every episode, I'm careful to only use it like once, and I don't use it for the first batch of episodes because it has a sense of dread and hopelessness to it, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna use that later when everyone's dying. There were in episode 23, there's what's essentially Yamcha's theme, which is the world map adaptation I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Basically Yamcha's theme in that episode, and it's very energetic and hopeful, and that's going to be like emblematic of what the tone is at that particular episode before things start going wrong. So I mean, I think I had Joe, I know I had this conversation with you. I don't know if you heard this, Rakeem. Like, there's a very intentional tone shift I set up for episode 23 because episode 23, like we have the wild feral Cyberman theme, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But when Tien fights the Cyberman, which is the first fight, I wanted the fight theme to be more Cyberman centric because I know Joe sent us a demo a million years ago, which was like this action generic fun action theme of Tien versus the Cyberman, and I could tell he really wanted to do that. But I thought it would work better if it felt more Cyberman-esque, and it was like more scary, and like the Cyberman might kill Tien, only to reveal that Tien beats the Cyberman. So then after that, I use Goku versus Raditz, which is a little more of a fun action track, and it happened to fit really, really well. I use that for Yamcha versus the Cyberman, almost like the music is now on the hero's side, and you know it's kind of lulls you into a false sense of security before the Cyberman kills him, and we write a big scary theme for that.
Yeah, I liked that structure a lot, especially now that I saw it in action. As soon as I saw how you had built that episode, it was like, okay, I see exactly what you're going for. It made perfect sense. And I like when the world map, it comes back a second time at the end of that episode. I think right after Yamcha wins, right? Kind of wins.
Yes, I bring it up. It's kind of like what we do for all the one-off episodes, where we'll introduce a theme near the beginning of the episode, and then we'll reprise it again near the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the same thing. Yamcha's theme is this episode's theme.
Yeah, I just love when it comes back, and all of a sudden he's just like, "Nope, never mind." You rip it out from under him a minute later.
Yeah. Exactly. We take it away. And also another theme I bring back that I found myself using a lot during the same battle is Raditz and Piccolo talk, which is basically when you wrote that's essentially just like a replacement for Piccolo and 17 talk from the Android Saga. It modeled fairly closely after that, some low Penya. Yeah, I find myself using that one a lot, including in 29, which I just kind of slapped together. It's pretty structureless right now.
We got you, but we can't wait to see it.
I agree.
It's also really nice because it's very easily loopable too, which is good because as you can see, I use it in like near the end of episode 25, and then I kind of loop it just for like tense dialogue between like the bad guys who are holding all the cards. That's kind of like how the theme. That's basically how the theme feels. It's like dialogue with the bad guys, but the bad guys are the ones holding all the cards.
Yeah.
That's how I used it anyway. I don't know.
It was kind of like that for Android 17 and Piccolo as well.
Yeah, that's why it's a good adaptation.
Did you include the part near the end, like the overt Wasserman portion? Or I don't know if that would fit anywhere with that.
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay.
Briefly, when so in episode 29, I have it the way episode 29 is structured. The fight between Goku and Nappa ends right before the halfway break. Vegeta tells him, "It's my turn. You've embarrassed us long enough." Blah blah blah. And then the halfway break starts. And then as soon as we cut back, it plays Piccolo and Raditz talk, and I kind of loop it through that whole dialogue where he's like, Vegeta's gonna kick your ass. And the second he starts to descend, and he's like, "Now what can I do for fun?" That's when the tension building part starts. So I had a little bit of trouble timing it. I had to adjust the tempo a teensy bit just to get it to time just right. But yeah, that section begins as soon as Nappa homes in on Gohan and Krillin. But then it's going to lead into another red card because I want a red card for that scene.
Yeah.
You have to. It's an iconic scene.
I think you picked the red card scenes really wisely, like just flipping through it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I try to, but the important thing is to be able to reuse red cards as well.
Yeah, but there's so many that you just probably aren't going to reuse, but you need to. You don't want a Kid Buu situation where you're just reusing stuff where there's clearly iconic stuff happening on the screen and you're recycling music.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I don't know. That's how my brain works sometimes though, where you just kind of think like, okay, this could work really well here. Kind of like how I have the part where Gohan chickens out. I want to lean into the evil Vegeta motif because I feel like that could be reused very easily in the Vegeta half of the battle. Basically like a replacement for Vegeta knows his son, which is such an unfortunate Shame that we can't use that. Legitimately one of my favorites. It's so good.
It's a really great track.
But
Sadly, some of these I'm sad that we can't use, actually. Like the front stuff, I was like, that fit so perfectly.
Yeah.
Right there.
I feel like the evil Vegeta has like such a simple melody that you can mold that into that. So
that was intentional. Just
Oh, yeah.
that was like, I want this to work here, 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 and here, and not have to think of a new theme anywhere. And that way, any of us could do it. Like Rakeem could just take that simple melody and do whatever you want with it. If you want a cool battle track or whatever.
Talk Goku's theme, because I know that's a really big one that we got to do. I mean, I know when you guys finish 17 and 18, like 19 is kind of a beast. That's the majority of the work for 19 and 20 anyway. But I know we tease the Kaioken melody, which is basically Goku's theme that we're going to use. We tease it in that episode. We tease it in Joe's episode right now. But we don't really bring it out until episode 21. And that's your big scene, Rakeem. And like I said, you got to nail it. Because I want it.
First of all,
it's big.
You already like laid it out the way that it should be.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, that went through like so many different drafts. Like there's so many different ways. I'm like, how do I do this scene? It's almost like the way we structured it with some scenes with the Kaioken melody. It's almost like it's an extension of the main Dragon Ball Z theme. Because compare like this scene. There's one brief moment when Goku's running at King Kai that I want to throw in the main DBZ melody. And then there's also Joe's scene where Goku arrives that uses the main DBZ melody, but we also want to use the Kaioken theme in there too. So thematically, they're often connected. They just happen because, Goku's the main hero. That's what we got to do.
Right. Till we get the Namek.
Till we get the Namek.
Then it becomes Krillin's theme.
Yeah. Well, we can separate it. Yeah, exactly. We can play the main DBZ theme when Krillin is handing the Dragon Ball over to Vegeta. Badass moment.
Well, Krillin and Gohan are really the heroes for a while.
I know, that's great. Which is also a good reason, because it's like I said, there's a couple moments where I want to write a bit of a theme for Krillin using some Silvertone. A couple moments early on when he first arrives. I know you want to do that, Rakeem. But I also want to do it again when he does the iconic Destructo Disc. And those are probably extremely easy to reuse once they get on Namek. See,
sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go back to 17 just because I wanted to make sure that we're on the same page. Am I doing this whole group on this front end up to King Kai strategy, or Rakeem, did you want any of this stuff?
You can have everything you want from that section.
Okay. I mean, it's all kind of continuous.
It is, yeah.
So I'll just throw myself in there for those, and then I know you were going to do the King Kai strategy one, and this is the carryover from 18.
That's something I like to do as well. Where if you have a really long scene, I like to kind of like break it up into different smaller red cards, so you can kind of like just picture the structure a little more easily, or maybe it makes it harder for you. I don't know.
It's impossible.
Like when Goku leaves King Kai's, I basically split that scene in half, like into two red cards. There's the first half, which adapts time and space when the halo disappears, and then there's the second half when Goku leaves, and then you go full Kaioken, Dragon Ball Z. That's like the big epic theme everyone's gonna remember. So I split that scene in half. Does that work better for you when I split it in half like that, or would you just prefer one big gargantuan scene?
To me, it's one thing, just by the way that you made it. It seems like one thing to me, but if it makes it easier to like visualize for you to see that it's two separate things, that's fine too. But to me, it's one, just because it's all connected.
Because we've done this before with Piccolo's Prelude and Piccolo's Lesson.
Oh yeah,
that was one big red card.
it was. I'll probably do the same thing for this. Just do one of that first half, or Time and Space will probably have its own. The next one will have its own, and then Dragon Ball Z and the Kinkai melody. I mean, the Kaioken melody will probably have its own, but they're connected still.
Even if you glue them together at the end, it's probably best to do them separate, because that means each of those individual pieces can easily be reused without bleed over.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason why I structure it that way too. That's because, like the same with Piccolo Prelude and Piccolo's Lesson, they can work without each other better.
Not that you'll ever reuse them, but the End of Snake Way is actually 5 separate tracks.
Is it really?
Yeah, seriously,
Really?
because I get so mad at tempo changes, and they all have a different tempo. It's the beginning carryover from Piccolo and Gohan, then it's the reveal, and then it's the sliding down, that's number 3, and then number 4 is him getting back up and that, like, you know, increasing tempo Snake Way, and number 5 is
the Snake.
the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I know I'm right, because it's 5 separate project files, and then I have a 6th one where I dump everything back in so I can see it together, and that's the one that has the little
project.
transition. Yeah, the main, and it's literally called, that one's called the End of Snake Way, and everything else is called the End of Snake Way dash something. But I have them all independent. Will you ever use them? No, but they're there if you ever want them.
He might. You never know. He could.
I mean,
he could.
I can see potential in reusing the final one when he sees King Kai's planet.
Or the
But as far-
the other one too, where he's sliding down the snake way, since that's just the Kaioken theme.
Oh yeah, potentially too.
Yeah. The others you
like-
wouldn't. They're very specific.
They're very Snake Way associative.
Well, they straight up are the Snake Way theme, just the different variations on it. But yeah, but either way, I have that separate. But in that one, that was all just one thing, but I had to manually split it up because Rakim can tempo map in advance of stuff. I get a headache from that, so I don't bother.
Oh no, it is headache inducing. It's not fun to do.
When you say you're doing that, it's like I don't even know how you figure out the tempo for some of the stuff ahead of time. I just like throw in a different project file. I'll fix it later.
Because if I do it like that, then I will go crazy. I have to like think of what I want it to be here. It's like, what am I doing? I'm getting lost within myself.
Damn.
I want to go looking at this again. Calm Bubbles. I'm assuming you're cool with just taking that one, Rakim. Since yeah. You are gonna do some reference subtly to Michael Jackson somewhere, correct?
I should.
Oh, I forgot all about that. That was such a that was funny because I remember I discovered that. I'm like, whoa, this is kind of cool. Hey, Rakim, and you're like, yeah, that's common knowledge. And I'm like, oh,
yeah. I learned it from Nostalgia Critic because I think he talked about it during his Moonwalker review like 15 years ago.
I think he did.
Yeah. And that's what I heard Bubbles and I was like, oh, that's why.
what a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, Toriyama would never pull inspiration from anything like that.
He would never steal.
Do you have quote unquote any goddamn clue what to do with Wild Car Ride?
Yeah, no, just write something wacky. You can make a musical reference to something if you want. I don't know. I already had intended to do a musical reference, but I wasn't sure which of the two of them I was going to do. Probably stand-up comic. I thought of in the shower the other day exactly how to do the King Kai planet theme as a Mario track, like boom, 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 boom. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That could work. I mean, it's like I said, I love that that simple, what's it called? Spade Aces High or something track from Mario.
Yeah.
I love that. I thought that would be like so perfect for Goku or for King Kai just striking out.
So yeah, one of those I was gonna do that. The other I have to figure something else out for. But yeah, this I had no clue. I mean, we could. I don't know. Whoever wants to grab it can grab it.
The big one I feel like is Rakeen's chase music at the end of the episode, because that's like, what is that, like 2 minutes long?
Yeah,
I was
a long one.
I was upset and angry because this was after I used Otherworld Chase and I used what Gladiator Race.
Yeah.
Basically everything Joe slaved over in back in episode 13,
It
and I
still
used
doesn't
them
cover
all, and it still didn't cover it. Like it covered half of it maybe, and I was like, wow, like I still need to write a red card. I thought it would fill the whole thing, but nope.
Those 3 pages of the manga took a long time.
Yeah, right.
And by the way, how could Goku be on King Kai's planet for more than 3 weeks by the time he actually catches up to Bubbles, and yet somehow never meets Gregory during that time period? Where does Gregory live?
Gregory is he's in another plane. I don't know.
But then why does he like then proceed to just hang out with him in perpetuity thereafter? He's still there in Super.
You know what bothers me is when in the dub, when King Kai says the Saiyans will be on Earth in 88 days, then 3 weeks later when he catches Bubbles, he's like, there's still 75 days left until
You're absolutely right.
Time is irrelevant after you're dead.
Like they just don't care.
I like the fact that 15 is particularly amusing because you put off editing that thing, the rough cut, for so long, and yet it ended up being one of those episodes that you pulled so much from after the fact.
Yeah. Well, that's because like a lot of these episodes had bare basic, like constantly being changed rough cuts. 15 I barely touched because it's such a boring episode. You know, it not much happens in it, and then by the time we were getting there, by the time we were around episode 12 or something like that, I had so much new material to work with. I'm like, oh, this could work here and this could work here. You know, it's just like it worked. Everything, all things came together, but I still had to write, you know, like 2 or 3 red cards for you both each for that one.
I watch that whenever I watch that one because I love that I put the little time cue, whatever they're called, in the description. And so I tend to jump. I forget what the first track is in that one, if it was one of ours or not. But
it's Gohan Alone.
Okay.
Or not Gohan Alone. Gohan
Without a friend. Right. I usually skip that one and I go straight to Rakeen's track because I love that, the sand surfing one.
Oh, it's so good.
It's such a good track. So I'll like listen to that all the way through. And then I usually will skip ahead to the Piccolo stuff in the middle. And I just re-listen to like those parts and the horns, like everything from the return, the Piccolo v Piccolo daytime one in the end, straight on through to the end, I've listened to several times. But Gohan and the Tiger, I keep skipping.
So
not that it's bad.
Understandably.
I mean, if it's in the background, I let it go. But if I'm like proactively listening to the episodes, I want to go to the good stuff.
Yeah, it's just
completely understand.
That's what I mean. Dueling Piccolos is like 10% of the episode.
It really is, and I always thought of it as being more because of the Ocean dub.
Because the Ocean dub cuts out it cuts out Gohan circling the island for half the episode. It's amazing how little happens, and
they paced it correctly in the Ocean dub.
Oh yeah,
paced everything correctly. If you really think about it.
I can't disagree with that.
I mean, they could have cut all the filler out, but they have to have something. You know, whatever.
I think they picked the wrong filler to cut out. They cut out the They should have cut out part of the dinosaur instead of the robot. I like the robot. I have a soft spot for the robot. Although I do like your dinosaur theme that the Gohan and the dinosaur track that you put together. For what you had to work with, you did a really good job.
It's just Gohan. And a massive dinosaur.
You had so many like stupid scenes you did. I'm always impressed by what you produced.
Here's the thing. I think like Rakeen, do you prefer to do longer scenes? Because I feel like I've sent you a lot of longer scenes, and you had like more time to kind of like putting your own style into the melody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, longer. I like longer better. Naturally.
Because yeah, like Gohan and the Dinosaur feels very much like one of your tracks.
Mhm.
And because of the beats of the music, I've been able to get really good mileage out of it. But it's definitely like that's one of you.
Mhm.
Especially love getting one of my. And I know there was some debate over this, and it was originally Joe's idea, but I really love the way it was used at the end of the children episode when Figaro has to abandon the kids, and it's like. I like that section because it's like instant drama. Just add water.
Just add water.
Yeah, well, not even just that, but also the way the previous the preceding track that Rakim wrote and the following track that Joe wrote, just it's all like water. It flowed so seamlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked really, really nicely. I know I worked really hard on transitioning off of that one into mine to make sure that that whole thing went perfectly smoothly.
Some perfect
And
dream.
Joe and I were talking like about how to make it feel cohesive with the adults and kids.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
so the
I
episode
like
just feels like one thing.
because you had your own theme to work with and you had your own theme to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like Figaro had his own theme and then the adults had their own theme. It just like I don't know. It all worked like clockwork. It was seamless.
Yeah, it went fast too. That was one that just for me the Figaro theme was I just played something. It's like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, you guys put that episode together fast.
Yeah.
Insane.
And I love the Figaro theme, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to reuse it for Space Figaro.
As you should.
You have to let me put some Blade Runner in with it though.
We
When
will
you-
during when they start talking about Frieza. We will.
Okay, all right.
That might be its own theme, but I don't know yet because I haven't really touched that episode. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I
You
have
guys will
one,
be excited for that.
there's one with the Space Kids, and I think I forget when I found this. It was a while ago, but I downloaded additional sounds for the JV 1080, and one's called like the Atmosphere package or something. I forget. They've got a whole bunch of like really weird like atmospheric sounds, and I found one that just like was like this gloopy sound is the best way I could describe it. And then I remembered, because I have this weird memory for this stuff, that there is a gloopy scene in the Space Kids episode. And so I think I messed with
Oh yeah.
yeah, there's like the space goop coming down. It's like an alien type of scene for very brief, but I had the
Use
perfect
the-
sound for that.
Oh, I was gonna say let's just use the Perils of Snake Wave or the Digi.
Well, that would work too. I want my gloop.
Okay, fine. You can have that scene. Whatever.
You can have it, Joe.
Everybody's gonna remember it when you reuse it for Bulma and the Crab later on.
Oh. Okay.
It will work for there.
You should have I was gonna say you should have some badass Bulma versus the Crab music. Could use the Great Ape theme. Wouldn't it work though? She's fighting a
work
giant
perfect.
kaiju crab. Yeah. Because we're not gonna we're like, when are we gonna use it again? You know what I mean?
We're never going to use it again.
So let's just use it for the crab. Why
very-
not?
The very last episode, you're gonna have to figure out something for the overtly Super Saiyan ape that's in the background when Vegeta's talking about the Super Saiyan legend. Remember that? How it's like clearly a golden ape in the background, even though that there was no any indication that it would be golden other than that. We'll
We
have
can
to
have
figure it out.
meetings about how we want to handle that scene because that's almost our finale.
Yeah, that right there is, because as soon as it's over, it transitions over to original 54.
Yeah, because half of that episode, if you watch the uncut version, half of that episode is like Guinea Assault.
Mhm.
We'll just score the first half, but the second half we have to make it match as closely as possible. Only with different voice performances, less cheesy, I guess.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, by a lot.
Just rip the audio from the original version, like from the DVD, from the Ginyu Assault DVD, and just put that in there.
I guess the only reason that wouldn't work is because there are some longer periods of time that didn't make it.
Yeah,
Definitely.
They've still edited.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, when we get to Namek, I'll have to rewatch all the Ginyu episodes and kind of like closely inspect the style. Especially in particular, Frieza Approaches, which is, the long forgotten episode. But a lot of elements in that episode, that's like where we first see Guru. That's where like a lot of really iconic tracks were written. That's where Nail's theme comes from. And we have to reverse engineer a lot of the style of that episode, in particular for when Krillin meets Guru. So I don't know. It's a lot of Namek in particular is going to need a lot of extra backwards planning, which I'm sure we're excited for.
There's like 6 or 7 episodes we could really pull from that are before Frieza music starts just taking over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it only goes up to like 77, I think, before it's just all Frieza all the time.
Oh yeah, and we can get creative too for like some lesser characters like Dodoria and Zarbon. Joe had the amazing idea to use a organ for like Zarbon's theme. I don't know, because there's like kind of like a beautiful quality to an organ, but there's also like a Phantom of the Opera monster quality to an organ. So I think it would be a really good idea. And then he would of course write a monster version of it too. You know what I mean?
You bring it down, you bring the organ down, crank the bass on the organ, add the guitar, and all of a sudden you just have this like horrific thing.
That would be a good Zarbon theme.
Castlevania.
Yeah, inspired by Castlevania.
Castlevania.
I'm honest about my inspirations.
Hey, me too. Half the temp tracks are video game music. Musashi, Naruto, and Legacy of Goku.
And Taiketsu, which apparently poor Great King Piccolo, whatever that guy's name is on YouTube, did not know what that game was.
Who does? I didn't know what that game was until like a year ago.
I knew of the game, but I have never touched that game in my life.
Don't. It's bad.
It's pretty bad. Everything you need to see about it is online.
Yeah, it is. But I know I played it when I was working at GameStop. I put it in a used Game Boy Advance and played it for a few minutes. And I promptly took it out and said, I'm not buying this. And I put it back in the game. And to be honest, I didn't even notice the soundtrack until like way later when somebody was like, oh yeah, they remixed Faulconer music and that too. What? They did? I didn't catch it. Even though it's like in the opening. I think I was just like in one of the battles and it was one of the ones you couldn't really tell what it was. Those are more subtle remixes than the straightforward Legacy of Goku ones. So it's a little hard to pick up on it.
Oh, which is...
Wait, what happened between Legacy of Goku 1 and 2?
Different composer.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
Ariel Gross
same
left.
composer for the Buu one as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Legacy Goku 2, Buu, and Taiketsu are Yanis Brown, and some other guy who we never credit because I never remember his name, but I didn't remember this until we were sharing that video of the behind the scenes thing for Legacy of Goku 2.
He's the guy who does the interview.
Yeah. So we don't credit him at all. I don't remember his name. But Yanis Brown is always the one who does get credited, so whatever.
So I pulled up his website. We could message him and say, "Hey, we're using all your shit." But then he might. But then I'm worried he might say like, "Hey, you can't do that."
That's why it's like, how much attention do I really want to call?
That's exactly it.
Like I think Wasserman would be like kind of cool with it, but like, do you
Wasserman? Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like Wasserman would be cool with it.
Yeah, but do you send this to Bruce and say, "Hey, look"?
What do you think of this? That's why if Bruce ever reaches out to us, I want Joe to talk to him. I want a lawyer.
Here's a representative.
Here are my credentials, and then show him your University of American Samoa.
Oh my. Anyway, back to this. I don't know. Did you want to claim any of the stuff for Keem? I don't have any strong feelings about any of it.
Which episode are you on? Goku's ancestors?
Goku's ancestors.
Gohan on the cliff, probably.
Okay.
That's a good one. Gohan and the Cliff, I want to keep very similar in spirit to Gohan Without a Friend, because Gohan Without a Friend is magically like somehow moldable and able to use in so many different scenes. So there's a couple scenes I want to reuse Gohan on the Cliff that I feel like can work, just like a slow, calm, like Gohan and Piccolo kind of theme. Extremely simple. And I do reuse it a couple times, but yeah, it's a good little moment, and it's kind of like one of those iconic moments too, because I always think about like when Gohan and Piccolo train and spar. I always think about that when he's on the cliff. So yeah, go with something simple.
And from in the episode, it's also, that's one of the ones that seems like it's one whole thing too as well.
Yeah, kind of, because Gohan and Piccolo spar immediately precedes it.
Oh, right, it does. Yeah. Yeah, there's no break. Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, I think I even thought of that. You're right, because when I watched that again this morning, I thought, oh, well, you should do this whole thing because you're doing the previous track, so just keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I wrote that red card, I was probably thinking of Gohan Without a Friend in mind, especially the way I kind of like wrote the way it ends. Like I wrote like throw in elements of like, you know, Gohan's harps in there and end it with some low space voices.
Well, that's what I was using for Gohan, like picking out an instrument for him. Anytime, not anytime. A lot of times he's on, I used just a simple hit or two of harp glyphs from Time Chamber. And that has really worked well. And it's in the
yeah, you know, Time Chamber.
It's in the end of 16. And I felt that really like helped bring it back to Gohan after the Pigaro theme was sort of ending. So it would probably work there too, you know, up to your discretion. But that's the sound that I really was trying to harp on to make sure.
This guy's got singers.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, you just come full circle.
As far as the other two, you know, whatever, I don't care. Do you want a silly track, or you want this one was a little bit more serious, I think. Not serious, but it, you know,
Serious.
action-y comparatively. But
Well, you know I'll choose the serious one if I have a choice.
all yours.
The jokes
I'll
and the non-jokes.
That's true. Joe
you haven't
is kinda-
you haven't had enough serious, like truly serious or like action tracks so far.
Definitely tell Joe prefer. Joe is, I mean, he's good at it. He's very good at comedy themes.
Yeah.
Goofy scenes. He's done so many at this point.
There's a rhythm to them that I've figured, and it's funny because I never liked them originally. Like, you know, everybody likes Super.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, like going back, everybody likes Super Saiyan transformation. Everybody likes Vegeta fights Frieza, all that stuff.
Yeah.
How many people remember the stuff on King Kai's planet? You know,
I mean, I do,
but I'm cool with doing it. And then after doing it for a few episodes, it's like, okay, I actually really enjoy this because you could lean into that like silliness, and then, you know, do the pitch shifting and all that stuff. And especially since I've gotten better at just the technical on how to do that. Like with the Kurzweil, Scott mentioned this too. You could pitch shift 2 full octaves, and I have been able to use that occasionally to just get something really, really high for like a creepy thing, or just drop it. And it's really funny when you just drop it hard.
Yeah, it turns out pitch bending stuff is the funniest thing ever. I laughed so hard the first time I watched the King Yema's desk reveal when Joe sent that to me. That was so funny to me. Like he just sends me a message like, watch this.
I knew I had gold. It's like sometimes I'm not sure. It's like, no, I knew on that one.
It was God damn, the funniest thing.
You just take you got this really cool version of that Game Boy track, and then you just suck all the energy around.
Yeah, you laid down your own red carpet and then just completely ruined it.
I was proud of ruining that track.
But at the same time, it is a really good track to. I wish I used it more in the following episodes. I only really use it once for King Kai. I almost used it again in episode 20, but it turns out military strategy fit a lot better. But I do think it fits really, really well in episode 29 when Goku explains the Kaioken attack to Krillin.
Okay.
Because if you recall the way that scene is structured, when he starts explaining, it shows like visuals of Goku's like muscles bulging up and his red aura appearing, and it's kind of like a cool explanation, and it works. Trust me.
I can picture what you're talking about, and yeah, I can see it, and that's why I wanted to bring it back for the end of Snake Way too, because I didn't know what to do with that part going to King Kai, and I was thinking, is there a way of incorporating that, because we didn't really use it, other than the remix, which is more heavily used comparatively, the Return to Snake Way. But yeah, I'm glad you're able to use that at least one extra time in there, because I don't think there are not any Snake Way scenes at all during Namek, correct?
No. I have tested it out a couple times. Return to Snake Way does work in a couple scenes when Goku's training. Say leave it on the table, we can potentially do something else with it, but it's way down the line.
For like
just saying,
Yamcha and the others, they're never they just appear on King Kai's planet, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And most of their time on King Kai is played for laughs in a couple boring filler episodes.
Other than that one training fight, right?
Yeah. That's not even that.
Yeah.
It's a Nuchiyama episode.
Dismissed out of hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at this. I'll just throw myself in for the, like, if I see tracks that you or I, Rakim, have written, like this one I know I did, so I could just throw myself in for that.
Yeah.
I don't know what add some goofy notes is. We can. I'm not super concerned about the blue cards.
I know you're excited for Baba's premonition.
I am.
I'm glad you have this care for Baba, because yeah, Baba's premonition, when I kind of like mapped that out a little bit, I realized it could actually really work in a couple like quote unquote serious cutaways to like Roshi and the gang during the Saiyan battle. So it seems like a pretty moldable, reusable track, especially when Baba actually does show up.
Right.
Because Baba is their television set.
Yeah,
for the
back
Vita
half
of
of it.
Yeah, for the back half. So that could be, or that track could potentially get some good mileage too.
So I think that's all the important stuff for 20. And then
21 is like two big red cards, one for Rakim, one for Joe. Bubbles, and Goku catches Bubbles and Gregory at the beginning. It's so specific, and I feel like it probably needs to be written to scene.
Yeah, it does.
Just because of how specific the events are, and how I can easily picture it being really fun to watch with the right comedic timing. So I wrote that as a red card. A pretty specific red card too. So
yeah, I like that. I like the specificity you had with that, because you could sort of picture exactly what you wanted for it, which is easy.
That's why I think it's fun. I'd hope it'd be fun to read red cards when you're watching them.
I enjoyed it.
Well, you are correct.
Yeah. Because you can picture it. You can hear this, especially when you like cite certain instruments. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, now you know exactly what you're going for.
Yeah, Raheem, you have probably the most important red card in that episode. Space and Time. I'm actually, weirdly enough, like extremely excited to hear that, because I do want to reuse it in 27 when they sense Goku's on his way. That's like a put in. If this were like the Android Saga, you put in Goku's Spirit Bomb for that scene. You know, you got to put something like really good. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited for Time and Space, and I feel like it could get some real good mileage too later on. Do you have any questions about them, or do you want to do the intense alien face-off theme too? Because I figured, I pictured you would probably have fun doing that one, honestly, especially since Joe wrote the face-off during Raditz. I don't know if you wanted to do that or if you want
Let
to
me
give
go
that one to
back
Joe.
in real quick for that one.
Yeah,
It's-
I was fine with you having. I actually sort of figured you would want that one because I did the Raditz one.
It gets some good mileage in the first couple episodes and episode 26, but I kind of want to phase it out after Nappa dies because I want to treat Vegeta as more of like a central villain and not a space invader by the time it's just him versus Goku. You know, I want to treat him more like a character.
He's not a Cyberman.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, where I slowly phase out all the spooky alien music and then phase in Vegeta's theme and all his other themes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I'll do that one.
you'll do that one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I could do the Goku and Bubbles and Gregory thing at the beginning then.
You should.
That was meant for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see it.
Spirit Bomb test, though, I feel like I want to talk about that one because I had a few different ideas for this scene, honestly. It's gone through some different drafts, but the way I want to reuse it, because I feel like it could really work for like cutaways to Goku on Snake Way. So I was hoping you could. Initially, I had it more leaning in towards like a energy disc music kind of vibe, where it's like, oh, make it like energy disc music, like fun and fast. But I'm like, no, it might actually work better if you kind of make it like more tense and scary, because it could be like a really good like Wasserman type theme. So I actually would prefer you lean closer to the chase. You know what the chase is?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So
One of the best tracks.
that's so good.
Ricky, do you know which track that
I
is?
don't know. I don't.
Oh, it's link in here. It's such a good.
You could probably share your screen. Oh,
Yeah,
I could share my.
There's a share. You are sharing your screen.
Yeah, but that means but I'm sharing this. I can just go.
Now the Ocean Dub names are like way above my head,
I mean, they're all.
of my level.
They're all fan names, other than the ones that are just named after episodes, and they mean nothing.
Yeah, it's like half the Faulconer thing. It's all fan name stuff.
Mhm.
But that's a really good track that and I was thinking about the scene in. You remember the scene in episode 22 when Bulma's like, Goku, where are you? And it shows Goku running on Snake Way, and then it immediately cuts to Vegeta and Nappa flying.
Yes.
That is the scene I had in mind when I was kind of like typing up the red card, because I'd like to reuse it in that scene, so you could have like a pretty intense like chase music, and that's Goku running down Snake Way. And then at some point in the red card, I say, now make it a lot more tense and make it kind of scary. Introduce some dissonant choir into it. That's when it cuts to the Saiyans.
Okay.
So I don't know. When I wrote that red card, I had a different scene in mind. But I think it could really work to both scenes.
And you're thinking like a box, like a Henya type of thing, or like the Wasserman Choir type of thing?
I'm thinking in Wasserman Choir, like with high velocity, with like a lot of
Yeah. So just so you're aware of how I make that, and Rakeem, for you too, just in case you have any aspiration to like do the same, like more or less copy the same sound. What I'm doing, that's 3 choirs. It's literally choir from the Proteus. They're all from the Proteus. It's choir, human voices, and inquiry. And inquiring human voices have reverb and are panned hard right and hard left. I forget which is which, but it doesn't really matter. And choir is centered with no reverb.
I'm still listening. Go on.
And I basically, like, once I kind of landed on a structure that sounded good, I've just been copying those 3 tracks to every single file I've been using them for, so that I don't have to restructure the whole thing.
That makes sense.
So I think you told me once about making a oh god, what is it called? Like a template or something.
Oh yeah, track template. So you
Track
don't have to like
Yeah, I need to.
tracks every time.
I need to do that because that needs to be what I do for that, because that's just like I finally found the formula for the Wasserman choir. It's just a long time. But it's like those three. But the important one really seems to be choir, because it's got more. It doesn't have the softness that the other two have.
Mm-hmm.
If you compare them, you'll hear exactly what I'm talking about. It almost has more of a sound font quality to it. Whereas the others sound more human. But when you put it all together,
Okay, yeah.
And I think that was what it had to have been what he was doing, because for a while I thought he was just using one, and I don't think it is, because I've been really able to replicate it pretty close. So that's what I've been doing. In case you want to use that for any of those, it's inquiry, human voices, and choir.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
In case it ever has to go that route.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if you would need it for like Goku leading King Kai's. I mean, you're free to do it however you want, but if you really wanted to lead in Wasserman, that's the strategy. At least what I found worked.
Mm-hmm.
Some people like more horror and more Wasserman.
I really like when the choir is at maximum velocity. It's like I showed you in that Gaz and Mez track in the Ocean dub, where it sounds like chants, like ho 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 ho. And I really like that. Actually, one of my favorite parts of the Great Ape track is like near the end of the third part, right before like the big roar at the end.
Mm-hmm.
When Gohan tumbles and the music goes ho 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 ho. I love that part so much. I'm not even like, I know I'm making it sound funny, but it's so fucking cool.
I was proud of that.
It's so good. Yeah, I love that. And there's the crazy thing is, like, when you sent me that, I do what I usually do, and I start testing it out on other scenes. I test it out on some Vegeta Grade Ape stuff, and of course I sent you the clip of Gohan Grade Ape, and I'm like, damn, that fits so well. I still am not 100% sure what to do with this beautiful like 3-minute track you sent me, and how I'm going to use it.
I'll never use it again.
Yeah, no. We'll use hyperbolic time chamber.
Or just time chamber.
Yeah, or just that. It's a glorious, beautiful track, and it'll definitely find its mileage later down the road when the monkeys come in.
Monkeys.
You could probably use at least a portion of it. I was picturing it for when Yajirobe jumps in out of nowhere and cuts his tail, like right before that point. I think there's something like really intense going on. I thought that might be usable for there. But
I do have a pretty good, like in an old rough cut of that really works, and I don't know how much I want to change it just because it works so well. I use the intense embellished version of Frieza Begs. You know, the one that it's first used when Yamcha turns on the gravity in an early Android episode. But I use it for when Goku lets go of Raditz tail.
Right, yeah.
Like the way that times and the way that builds, it really works for that scene, but I could, something better might work. You never know.
If that one fits best, whatever,
It's too early to tell.
The rest of this looks like it's all just regular stuff.
Tabloid broadcast. Are you looking at 22?
I was looking at 21, but now I'm on 22. All right, who's doing tabloid broadcast and who's doing Yajirobe in the press?
Okay.
I think you guys should split up the filler music in half. One of you guys do tabloid and the other one does Yajirobe in the press.
Who has strong feelings for tabloid, strong feelings for Yajirobe?
Well, the way I see Yajirobe in the press could be the Hercule equivalent, basically, because there's a section of that has like Yajirobe sneaking around,
Which
and I want
for the Vegeta battle.
Exactly. So it could find some good mileage too if you write like basically like Hercule Arrives, but like with like a silver tone guitar, I guess, because that's like Yajirobe's lead or whatever you said it was called. It was a much cooler name.
It's I forget. You had it.
It's like
you had
Turbo Maxer or something.
Turbo Slider.
Turbo Slider. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like the lead in the Earth music part that's always used for Yajirobe's theme. Do you know what I'm talking about, Rakeem?
Bum, 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 bum.
Okay, yeah.
In Earth music when it goes like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, that's Turbo. Yeah. I actually thought it was the other one, Silvertone, but I checked it because you asked me a while back, and it's Turbo Slider.
It sounds like silver.
It's one of those where if you go through the different banks in the Alesis, they're the same number, I think, just in different banks, and generally, except when you get to the synth banks, they have some similar qualities to them, especially within the guitar bank.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just reiterating that it's not a completely useless track. It will find some mileage. One of you guys has to do it.
Sure.
I'll let you pick, Rakeem, whichever one you want. I don't care. I will tell you though, from what I recall, I could be wrong. Yajirobe in the press is a much longer thing.
It is much longer.
Yeah. So if you like the longer one, if you really love your filler,
I
don't. But
it also directly connects to one of your tracks. It connects to the kids versus the adults theme.
That's right, it does.
Which I'm very proud of that worked in that scene. I was amazed it actually worked.
I was amazed that you could even use that again. It wasn't. I didn't even.
Honestly, when you wrote that, I thought like this is really good and it fits, but I'm probably never going to use this again.
Me too. I guess I'll do Yajirobe.
Okay, I'll take Tabloid Broadcast. I almost wrote Yajirobe for. All right.
I like Tabloid Broadcast also because it's not just an endless loop. It actually kind of like starts building to something and then ends a specific way, which can really work for other scenes.
Yeah, I'm gonna study some news music and see what works best, like real life news music.
There you go.
Find the corniest stuff I can. Really quick, Rakeem, just so you're aware, for Vegeta and Nappa Arrive, that one I kind of assume was specifically designated for me because he referenced something called Prophet Saint.
Oh yeah, I did.
From the
That's
Proteus,
right.
or for the Kurzweil. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I just kind of gave myself that one.
I very much intentionally like wanted to lean hard Ocean Dub and make it a very tense, scary theme because, like I said a couple weeks ago in the group chat, this theme has two specific scenes in mind. It has this scene when they first arrive, and then it has the when Nappa's about to stomp on Gohan before Gohan arrives, or before Goku arrives. So if you can make it work to like both scenes like that, it's really going to pay off. Basically, like, I checked both scenes too. If you cut out the initial jump scare when Piccolo, the theme starts when Piccolo is like this like weird close up of Piccolo where he's like, "That's enough of your small talk. They're here." And if you get past that jump scare and you start the theme right when it goes on the close up of Vegeta and Nappa, it's going to time perfectly with the other scene. So very intentionally wrote the red card the way it is.
I had this up today when I was watching this. This was what made me realize, oh my god, there's a lot of filler in this episode. I also was it was like 12:43 when Krillin gets there. Like he's only there for a few seconds. Oh no, I'm sorry, 11:48, and then at 12:43 he's still talking to Gohan. And I'm thinking, I wonder if you have the number wrong, because it seemed like there was no way it just cuts hard to Vegeta and Nappa. And it's like, oh, I guess it did. It really just drops the whole conversation.
You know what's funny? They cut it in half in the Ocean Dub.
Well, yeah, I knew that, and that was what I was picturing, so I couldn't think of where it would come in.
Yeah, but it's weird. It makes it seem like Krillin was there longer in the Ocean Dub. And I think it's actually better paced that way.
It is. This is just so abrupt.
It is so abrupt.
They're having a nice conversation. Pickle's just like, shut up. There they are.
Yeah, that's right. It is. It's super like out of nowhere. Like they're in the middle of a conversation.
And it's not like he doesn't know that they're on their way already. That's the other thing. Like he's been sensing them this whole time, ever since they physically got to Earth. So why he has to just rudely cut them off?
It's time to go.
It's time to go. It's time to go.
Time to go.
One other for this next one here. I believe, even though it's coming off a Saiyan confrontation, I think structurally it makes more sense to make the bridge basically reversed off of Piccolo Prelude. Like set your own track up, in other words. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So where I'm going with this is I think, Rakeem, this should be you, because coming off a Saiyan confrontation, I don't think there's anything special about the end of that section. But then you have to get it to your track. And so since you're sort of reversing the beginning of your track to add more to the beginning, I thought that would be better for you to do that one.
90% of Piccolo Prelude is Wind Orc, right?
Yeah.
It is.
Did I write Wind Orc in the green card?
You might have, but I mean, we know what it is at this point very, very well. So
yeah, we know. All right. Whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's like okay. That was a complicated one. That's this next one you're looking at. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I might have to re-edit the scene, because if you have to over-edit it and write too much new stuff in it, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not the direction to go. If you have to make it fit too hard, then maybe it's not right for the scene. But I would like to reuse Evil Suspense at some point just for them, because we used it before and it's used again for Vegeta early on in the Ginyu. So I just
I actually didn't realize that's what you were talking about. I thought that would be very easy. Like I watched how you had that, and to me it felt pretty obvious what the beginning and ending should be based on
really?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, then.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty straightforward. I felt it was straightforward. I don't know.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I feel like I maybe had to over edit it a little bit, and I was worried that is this really gonna work? It'll work.
Yeah, it'll work perfectly fine, especially since I know what the instruments are, so it'll be even finer. I don't have to do the guesswork.
A lot of Zalphus and
Zalphus and something, I forget what the other things are, but yeah, thank God for 16 episodes of filler so we can figure out what all this junk is.
Yeah, it's great. All right, Cyberman theme. Who wants it? It's pretty straightforward. You write it to scene for the end of this episode, because this is by far the longest scene. Kind of structure it similarly to the Cell Juniors theme, but I wanted to change it up a little bit and make it because I really like the Cell Juniors theme. I know a lot of people don't like it, but as far as a wild, crazy, fast, like chaotic sort of like, feral theme, like Cell Junior's theme really works. It serves its purpose. So that's kind of what I want to do with the Cyberman theme, but maybe use some different instruments, have a little bit of a different vibe going. And that's why I had the idea for the D5. Is it D4 or D5? The D5 plot.
The actual thing was E6, but
you found it on E6?
We can call it D5 still, just so
I'm fine with if it's E6, it's E6. I thought it was D5.
It is E6.
Okay.
On the
you liar.
In my thing, on my S7,
okay,
it was like E6.
Okay, I will defer to you. I found what I thought he was looking for on D5, but that's fine. We should then make sure that this is very specifically fixed. Not sure.
We don't usually like say specific.
No, but he wants a very specific sound, and if you know for sure that it's that sound, I'm fine with that.
Which is why I wanted to like name it something.
That's fair. You should.
Because we might use like others at some point that he might want to remember the name of.
It's got like a nice primal. Cause when I think of that, I think of like Predator or something. If you ever listen to the soundtrack of Predator,
Well, that was what I
don't know.
thought of, yeah.
Yeah, so it has like a nice like primal animal quality to it that I want thrown into the mix of this chaotic, fast, crazy theme.
I fixed it for you.
I watched you do it as he talked.
Predator block. I like it. Okay, Predator block. That's
I
fine.
mean, we at least know what we're talking about.
Very true. Yeah.
As long the important thing is we're all on the same page. Yeah. So it's another case of like write it to this scene and it's just gonna
It's
work in the other
everything.
scenes
Mhm.
because the Cybermen are only around for like another episode
Mhm.
and
hmm
and their theme is it'll work.
I mean, I'm fine with doing it, or if you wanted to, I don't really care either way. I can certainly write, horror music, 80s style horror music like that. But you haven't gotten to write that type of stuff so far either. So whatever you want, Rakeem, I don't really care.
Joe, you can take it.
All right.
I'll give this one to you.
Wow.
Yes. I get the memorable guys. They're even in the manga. I'm not used to that.
Actually working on canon stuff. Yeah.
Cybermen, 1 theme. Princess Snake, 4. Guys and
Yeah.
6. Watch.
Well, it's the kind of thing
Yeah.
I would do if you put a keyboard in front of me.
You put the Z guitar in front of me and you tell me you cannot turn it all the way up, and I'm telling you there's something wrong with you. That's all I'm saying. It really hurts for the afterburner because to get that thing to not sound ridiculous, you have to use it at roughly half velocity when you record the afterburner sound, or at least I do, because otherwise it distorts too much. And so I have to like really turn it. I have to turn the velocity down, but the volume I have to turn up to get the sound correct. I still haven't. I did figure out how to do it. I still don't like how I do it, but it works.
I don't either.
Sounds tricky.
I don't know how Brian did it. He
I still can't figure it out.
doesn't do it like that, like us. He has
No.
his own way of doing it, and it's better.
Yeah, I have that I have a mixer specifically for that sound. Every time, Marcel, this is how this works for me.
Okay.
I want you to understand this. So first, on the S760, I have to go into the settings and I have to take it. It defaults to -6 decibels. I have to crank this thing to +12 decibels, which is the highest it goes.
Oh God.
Now, then I have to plug it into a mixer I have, which is cranked all the time. It's cranked. Then I have that going through. I forget the name of the box, whatever, a reamp box. And that gets rid of some static in the signal. Then it goes to the Zoom. Then from there it goes to my audio interface. This is all this whole structure that I have to do. Now, thankfully, I can do it fairly quickly, but then I have it all going. Then I have to turn up the volume to almost max on the audio interface to be able to get that sound. But because I am not Rakeem and I don't have like all these inputs, I just have the 2. I
fire hazard.
Yes, I have a slightly tiny smaller fire hazard comparatively, but I have the 2 inputs, but I can't get it to record stereo for whatever reason. I have yet to figure this out, so I record it twice, and then I just put it together in Audacity, and then I have to get rid of the extra static from the volume increase that I had to put in there.
So you make faux stereo every time you use Afterburner?
Every single time. It comes out really. Oh, and I do some EQ adjustment too.
And you had to do all this during Wild Chase?
Uh-huh.
Oh my
But
God.
the only difference is, but by that point, because I think I figured all this out shortly after Christmas, because I got the amplifier and all the other stuff that I'm like channeling all this junk through. But once I figured it out, I kind of saved all the settings, so now I could just do it fairly. Like if you say record this in Afterburner, give me 5 minutes, I'll have it. But before, it took a lot. Yeah, so I love the Afterburner. I don't use it that as often as I probably would otherwise. It's annoying.
But yeah, and
It shouldn't be,
the
though.
coolest Saiyan theme that like uses Afterburner a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. It's like you have to put out an afternoon just to get it to work.
Yeah, well, it took a long time to really finally get it to a point. And in fact, you can hear the difference if you listen to that Raditz attacking Piccolo and Gohan right before Raditz's theme in episode 3. It's got a different sound quality to the Afterburner recording there than it does later times that I used it, because there I still wasn't quite doing it in the most effective way. So it almost sounds a little bit more hollow compared to how it does later on once I figured out what I was doing. But I let it go, partially because I didn't figure out what I was doing until after we were done with it, but partially because he kind of teleports behind him. So I liked the fact that there's sort of this empty sound to it, like kind of a trail behind, a guitar trail behind him. That's my headcanon for all of that.
Yeah.
I thought this all through, obviously.
Jeez.
Yes, that's how you get the Afterburner. I don't know how I got on that complaint, but that's how I got the Afterburner.
Damn.
And it should not be that hard.
Brian does it so much more easily, and I don't know what Brian does. He's magic.
I don't know. He tried to talk me through it.
Mm-hmm.
I did everything he said in words.
I did everything right.
In words, but in music it didn't work.
Exactly.
I found a YouTube video because they were talking about reamping stuff, and the thing that the guy said that this is what got me to figure out how to fix it. He said you have to just crank the volume on everything, and I hadn't been doing that because historically I record at a volume that doesn't peak and then turn it, adjust it appropriately. But this thing was coming out so small, I didn't even think to just turn it all the way up and then just get rid of the crackling sound that you get as a result. But thank God for Audacity's noise reduction thing, which I found the correct setting for after I took like 6 tries with that.
Oh, how'd they use it back in the day then? I don't know.
I'm sure there's a right way of doing it. I just don't know what it is.
Okay.
I'm getting the correct result however you get there. Like you hear it and you're like, yeah, that's what that is. So, whatever.
Somehow managed to make it work.
Yeah, it absolutely works.
I mean, I knew it was crazy. I just didn't think it was such a pain to use it every time you use it. I thought it was like, okay, we finally got it set up. It's as simple as this now.
Compare it to it's. I don't want to exaggerate it because it's not that big of a nuisance. Really, what I do personally is I use the Z Guitar sound font for most of the time I'm working with something, and then I will go in and record the guitar, the actual synth, and then the Afterburner. So like, it's really by the time I get to it, it's almost at the end of the project of that track, and it just takes a few minutes to do it. But
there's got to be a simple way.
I'm sure there is. There's something
set up.
There's one setting, one button that we're not pushing.
And then you just make a track template, and then you never have to do it again.
Yeah. Well, this actually
Always
came.
there.
My track template is that one. I do have one for saved in the FX thing for Reaper, and it came from the launch theme in 11 because that was the time that I finally figured out how to do it. And once I had it working, I thought, I don't know what I did. I don't care what I did. I am saving this.
Yeah, that's a good Afterburner track.
Yeah, I love that. And that one also uses Captain Crunch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Captain Crunch going on there. You can't really.
Is that what's layered underneath when it reprises and it goes back? Like when she jumps off the waterfall and it goes.
It gets heavy.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, much as I hate Launch and her theme, I liked it when I revisited 12 the other day, or the weekend we were talking about that. It was like, it felt weird that it wasn't there in the DVD. So I had to go watch 12 for a few minutes just to okay, here it is.
Here it is.
Our version's good.
So, yeah, I know. Our version's
It's a great track. Never really there. That's memorable.
By the way, Marcella, just so you're aware, I actually added this blue card today. This is not in your cut. At 129, there's a part where it's on the Cybermen, and one of them, I forget if they do a head motion or something, but as soon as I saw it, I was I knew it needed that type of embellishment right there over whatever you have, so I just threw it in there. So just so you're aware, that's not in your edit, but
I assume this is on the face-off theme?
Probably was that. I watched so many of these things today. Was that the first track you had on that one?
It's the first track. I'm actually like, I really love the way that episode opens.
Mhm.
Because it has a bit of like a bizarre like title card that kind of like appears and then disappears over the same shot and the wind
Mhm.
blows.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like the way that episode opens.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Go on.
And you are correct.
Are unfocused.
Unfocused. And Piccolo's like, you don't have to be scared. I'm like, shoot, I didn't even think about that. All right. So that's left is there's Rakeem, you're doing Spirit Bomb face off, obviously. Yeah, we already had the discussion of whether or not to use that theme or not, and we're not going to, which is good. I like that we have our own tense sort of theme. That whole section of Spirit Bomb, that's mostly dream strings, right? Like,
I think
it's like a simple bass line, do 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 do
Yeah.
do do, and then it's like a dream strings note, like a high dream strings note that just, yeah, could put something together kind of similar to that. I don't know, maybe you have a better idea than I do, but just so you're aware, that track is going to get a lot of mileage over the next few episodes.
Yeah, and naturally, I love that scene. I know it's not like supposed to be written to scene specifically, but I love that scene with Gohan, and he can finally see these guys like everyone else.
It's not even just like visually, it's a great like character moment scene between Gohan and Piccolo. Yeah, so if you, like I said, you write it right there, it'll work in like all these 8 other scenes that I threw it in. And also, you were going to do The Fallen, which is the last one, which is a very long one.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, I feel like it goes without saying, that's also an extremely important one.
we brought it back every time somebody died, right?
Let's see, when Yamcha died, at first place when Yamcha dies, and I checked, that is the longest scene it plays in, so write it to that scene. But it's used again for Tien when Tien is mourning Chaozu before he does his final tri-beam. And then it plays, and then I briefly use it one more time when Piccolo first falls down before I use Piccolo's new theme. But yeah, briefly use it there again too. And it might be used again for picking up the pieces after the fight's all done and over with, because that's the whole first half is all big sad tone, big crocodile tears. So it might be used again for that as well. And who knows, maybe even for Namek as well. So
Well, that's our version of sadness.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
use sadness briefly in 24.
I wouldn't know.
No.
Oh, shoot. I could put on screen sharing and show you some highlights from it. How do you...
Yeah, what? Yeah, why not?
How do you screen share again?
You don't see the green button?
Are you on a laptop or your...
No, I'm on my setup.
Oh, there should be a green button that says share screen
Oh,
right at the bottom.
I'm an idiot. Here we go. Can you
No
see?
objection.
No objection. I'll put on my my gunner glasses because this is what I put on. This is like to protect my eyes because I stare at a screen for like 6 hours at a time when I edit sometimes.
Hey, you don't go crazy. Like the sound
I am
effects.
Secret cap, I am crazy.
You look like you're about to chop wood. For real,
Yeah.
for real.
Can you guys see this? Or, oh wait, how about now?
Mm-hmm.
You guys can see, right?
Yeah.
What episode am I? The Power of Nappa. I mean, it's like I said, most of it is done. Like, I think the major red cards are when Piccolo kills the Cyberman, which could potentially, it's a big if, potentially be reused in 27 when Piccolo shoots Nappa in the back. Maybe. It's all rough. It's all pretty rough. And then look at that. We got 1, 2, 3 red cards. You guys can see my timeline, right?
Yeah. Just wait
Yeah.
for you to press play.
I mean, it's like a here. I'll just I'll play the recap for you. Can you hear?
No, you have to. Now I'll hear it.
Last time on Dragon Ball Z,
Yeah.
Yamcha stepped up to fight, and he convinced Krillin to stand aside until the next round in the Saiyan's Twisted Cyberman tournament. The battle was intense, but in the end, Yamcha proved that his fighting skills were far superior to those of the maniacal green monster.
Gotcha.
His opponent seemingly vanquished, Yamcha was ready to claim victory in the bout. But with his guard relaxed, the Cyberman was able to summon his remaining strength and surprise Yamcha with a final diabolical attack.
Wait for the Blade Runner cue.
And in a single horrifying flash, Yamcha was dead.
And then wait for the shot of Vegeta.
Now, why did you have to go and play the hero, you big stupid jerk? It was my turn to
This
fight.
episode has
It
a pretty
should've
good
been
lead
me
into
in
the title
there.
card as well.
Do you hear me? You can't die. It should have been me. It should have been me.
So that's my favorite recap, by the way. Not like the type of recap, the one with the Blade Runner cue.
Did you edit
It's
it at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I
It seemed to hit certain beats really well, and it didn't. I wasn't sure if it was edited or if it just matched. Magically matched.
I had to have that Blade Runner cue at the right time.
Also, the drums when they're the blast from Yamcha, when it hits the Cyberman from the downward angle, that had the extra drum percussion in there, and I wasn't sure if that was part of the original or not.
I don't remember what episode I took this from specifically, because if you look at the title file, if you can see my arrow, it's literally like recap tempo 98. Yeah, I adjusted the tempo to be 98% slower.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like a 2% difference. It's really negligible. It's just so the title card could hit. That's my favorite one though. It's used in like most of the Cell game episodes. Open with the Fallen again. It's going to be used again here. But I'll play the whole Krillin scene because I think you guys are going to like the Krillin scene.
I hate it.
Definitely.
Oh,
Well, Joe.
When Yamcha gets back, you'll cheer up. Don't worry, dear. He won't be dead for long.
let me know if you want me to pause it.
We can use the Dragon
I
Balls
just
to
like
win
that
him
use of
back.
that track.
Remember?
Ah, that's right. You're a genius.
I know.
I was waiting for it.
I take it back. You're an idiot.
Get over it, little man. Don't you get it? You're all gonna die in the end.
Calm down, Nappa. Ha, give them a moment to clear this trash off the battlefield.
That edit, that was good.
Thank you.
How dare you?
Ooh, right on the bell, on the tubular bell too.
Mm-hmm.
You guys stay out of this.
I'll take on all 4 of those goons at once. Just like Yamcha was going to do.
Attack.
What the? Let's go, Jiangsu! I'm not sure what he's planning to do, but I know this much. We don't want to be here when the blast hits.
Way to go!
Oh, that was awesome.
That's my man!
Well, basically, I put TN versus the Cyberman because the last chunk of the
I know what you're talking
the way
about.
I wrote the
It's like
track
the little
is very
victory portion.
Exactly. Okay. All right. You already get it. This is our first red card here. When the Cyberman jumps out.
Enough.
So, Piccolo's become even stronger. That was incredible. Glad he's on my side for a change.
Thanks for saving me, Piccolo.
Stay focused, Gohan. Don't make yourself an easy target.
I think a pitch bent whistle.
You're lucky I
really
was
good.
there this time, but
Say again.
The pieces of the side when the Cyberman's body, the remnants are falling down. If you do a whistle like that, might be pretty cool. Like letting the air out of the tension out of the scene.
Make a real badass Piccolo moment, but I think I wrote it in a way to be kind of like reminiscent of when the dream strings hit for Piccolo cues like later in the show. So I'm slowly trying to merge Piccolo angry with a little help from a friend in subtle ways, if you hadn't noticed. And that's just like one of the ways I want to do it. But the badass action part.
Can I have that one, Rakeem?
Yeah, of course.
I like as I was watching, I could picture exactly how it's structured the whole thing, including the beginning with the merging, trying to like bridge those two tracks and make them, hybridize them, as I would say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you do a lot of the Piccolo music too.
Yeah, you got it.
I came to like the Piccolo stuff.
You basically reinvented Piccolo angry, so we got to give you credit for that.
I've always liked that track. You got to do something different with it.
Exactly. We can't. I mean, we've talked to death about Piccolo's theme.
really quick before you go on, can you actually go back a second to the DBZ theme you had right for Krillin?
Yeah.
I'm specifically looking right where there's a cut. It's kind of to the right of where your mouse is. Like there's an edit you did in the DBZ theme. I just want to hear that part. Yeah, right there. I want to hear that part again really quick.
To hear what I did, basically.
I'm listening for one specific thing, and after I hear, I'll tell you what it is.
Okay, nope.
Okay, I think I'd have to hear it isolated, but I think right there, there's like space voices or something. Are you hearing like the higher choir thing? I think we need to put something over that to sort of smooth that out a little bit, because
Wait, do it again.
you hear how it's there and then it sounds like it kind of isn't, and then it comes back. The choir. Maybe I'm not hearing it right.
Do it one more time. I don't know if I heard that.
Should we be listening to it on this first cut, or one of these cuts?
I think it's the second cut, right, Joe?
I'm hearing it. So in the first cut, where the cut is, it sounds like
I loop it here. This first one is basically like it's like restarting the track.
okay. But the choir isn't there for that part though, is it?
No, it's
That's
not.
what I'm saying. I think we should carry the choir over.
Joe's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right. He's right. Well, let me listen to it one more time.
Yeah.
Okay, I see now.
Joe's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that smooths out because the rest of the edit, it's fine. You have the timing and everything is perfect. It's just that you need to make sure that choir carries through so it feels like it's cohesive.
You're right. I'll make a note of that. Put up a blue card later.
Okay.
Beautiful. What is this? Oh yeah. Blah 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 blah. This scene is just the alien Saiyan theme, but if you pay attention to the cuts, it's actually edited pretty well. Obviously, I cut it in a couple places for timing, but it fits. You'll see.
Prepared to save yourself. So much for our little game. Oh well, it was fun while it lasted.
There's your sound effect.
Surprise, surprise, this is our favorite part, you know. You should see the looks on your faces.
They look like they've seen a ghost.
I don't believe it. Not even a scratch.
What do you guys say we get the real fight started? Any volunteers?
I put everything I had into that shot. What are we supposed to do now?
Hey, Vegeta, why don't I handle this? There's no sense in both of us getting dirty.
As you wish. But Nappa,
Huh?
make sure you don't kill the Namek just yet. Remember, he's the one who's going to tell us where the Dragon Balls are.
Right, I got it. So, I can't kill the Namek. Fine. Then you!
No, here!
Oh no, Piccolo!
You're a Saiyan. You should be enjoying this, kid.
Are you okay, Piccolo?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just a broken rib or two.
Evil choir. I really like this
I've never felt a power like this before.
Hey, TN! Look out! It feels like the whole planet is shaking apart!
Oh man, this is bad.
Get up! Stand firm, Gohan! I said get up! Now do it! Don't let yourself be overwhelmed by your opponent!
I'll try.
This Saiyan is even stronger than I imagined.
Boom!
That was really good. That was an awesome
Yeah.
edit.
It was.
Yep.
Wow.
All it needs is just a little dream strings at the end to be like, oh, these guys are fucked.
Correct.
Now, this next upcoming scene, I like the way it's edited, but I think I requested Joe to take. This is a scene with Goku speeding down Snake Way, where I use Return to Snake Way pretty effectively, if I may say so. But I had to adjust the tempo maybe a little too far. If I have to adjust the tempo more than 5%, then it's better to just cut it somewhere. But I requested that he sent me the Snake during the Snake Way Adventures section. I asked him to send me a third verse so I can kind of re-edit this and make the tempo go by a little bit faster. You'll see, and it fits. It does, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, I guess.
Hey, there's Princess Snake's palace.
Wow, is that Goku? He's fast.
That's the halfway point. Looks like I'm making pretty good time so far. Hold on, you guys. I'll be there soon.
Yeah, I could. So for the return or the the Snake Way Adventures thing, you could do the do 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 do, and you could probably fit in. I think there'd be enough room for the next part, like do 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 do. After that, and then bringing it back. So yeah, you get that third verse. The one thing that I'm noticing now is we have the cut at like 10:40 roughly. Right there.
Yeah.
Play that one part one more time, just that little snippet. Okay, there are the extra drums there. I was gonna say it might need more drums. I still want to look at that later. It may want to add
a tricky edit. I don't remember how I did that.
That's impressive because you pulled from the beginning and the middle.
I did. I pulled that from the very beginning.
Down there.
Yeah, that was me getting creative.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking I may want to throw some type of extra drum or something in there, but now I'm not sure because you did pull it from the beginning. So I don't know. Look at it when we get there, but
might not. That's why I mean when I say just send me a third verse for the Snake Way Adventures, because then I can reevaluate the whole scene. Because the thing is, the Snake Way Adventures part begins on this shot. When it could potentially begin on this shot.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying. So there's a million different ways you can do every scene. So I could Goku looks, and then the Snake Way Adventures parts begins here, and we do 3 verses. The important thing is that you hit the climax of it as Goku passes by him.
Oh, you mean the 74 squared?
I was just
that. Exactly.
You know what? You know why that was there in the original track, right? That was specifically a callback to Jumpin' Snake Way, because he literally jumps over the cleaning guy.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, that part.
He
jumps straight over him. So that was just a reference to Rakeem's track.
Oh yeah. But I happen to time out pretty well here. Do you have any idea how many times when Rakeem released Gohan Attacks, how many times I would listen to it and hum to myself?
I have listened to that quite a few times actually myself. I really like that. I like all your stuff, Rakeem. The what's Piccolo finds Nail? Is that the name of it?
That was pretty great.
Yeah, I think that's what the Koi kept called it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that one in particular, has gotten so much because it's just such a good track. Like you did a lot with 30 seconds.
I did.
Yeah, I know, really.
Those 30-second tracks are like, I don't know why Mike never like brought them back stronger later.
Well, that's why I love the Namek Dende flying track so much, because that one is like, I'm like, oh shit. There's like 2 or 3 different spots in your track where I'm like, that would make a really good lead into the closing theme, like for a future episode. Yeah, it's quality stuff. You guys want to go over this red? This is a kind of a long red card. Here's the thing: this episode doesn't have too many red cards, but they're kind of long. This is like a second Nappa powers up. This is the Omega Metroid theme, and it gets, for like half of it, it's pretty like focus on the melody, because not a lot's happening. And I feel like I do a pretty good job being descriptive. It's not until like the last quarter where I start to get more specific. Like, now add some tense strings here as we begin to close in on the ending. Start rising in tension for this part, getting scared, you know.
Well, now I'm reading every red card in that tone.
That's how it was intended to be read. So I can just play this part out for you if you want, and, you know, get a picture of it.
Jatsu, be careful!
Watch it! He's almost ready to attack! Yes! Now, which one of you wants to die first? Well, if there's not a volunteer, I'll choose! Watch out, Jen! Above you!
He's been disarmed.
No, Mr. Tien!
Why, that stubborn little... He just refuses to die! No, we need to get his tail somehow!
I said it.
No!
It's here!
Krillin, it's too late to save him! Wait!
Where do you think you're going?
Oh, incredible! There's no bottom to this thing!
That's just a pockmark, you Namek lizard!
It's an edit I
Wait till
stole
I
right
really
from
get
the androids
started.
here.
I heard it.
He must have been hit by the blast!
No. I guess my aim was a little off.
Chaozu!
What's the matter, Three Eyes?
Nappa!
Blank red card. It's like I said, I haven't gotten to this, but you know, you'll never guess what I used for this scene.
I think I got enough of the first note. Like, can you name that tune? Yes.
Yeah.
Can you name it? I mean, the temp track's all there, but there's no red card instructions, and it's like 1547 to 1843. It's 3 minutes, so
Yeah.
you know, I could make it one long red card, but I'd like to trim it down if possible. So this is what's held up the whole episode, basically. But I could put it on, see how you guys feel about the temp track.
Watch it, you're being careful. What's the
two-cell
matter,
era.
Three Eyes? Nappa! Watch it, you're being careless. Huh? Why, you little... Come here, you little dwarf!
Chaozu! Get away from there!
I can't look.
Watch, Gohan! I said watch! Don't turn away! Honor his bravery!
You're asking for it!
Chaozu! Get off! That's enough!
Tien, can you hear me? I hope my ESP is working. I have to say goodbye now.
What? What are you talking about? Chaozu! You're not going anywhere! Just stop it!
I'm sorry, Tien. I have to do this. Thank you for everything. You're my best friend. Always.
No, don't! Chaozu, please! This isn't the answer!
It's the only way, Tien. Don't worry. I'm not afraid. And if I can save you, that's worth dying for.
No! Stop it! Get off!
Goodbye, Tien. Remember me.
What?
Chaozu! No! Chaozu!
Of course, you guys will have to go a bit sadder with that ending. But that's the magic of dream strings. Yeah, it's a really long scene. It's 3 minutes, and like, you know, depending on how you write it, it could really transform how I map out some of the later episodes. It's like I said, it could be like our Chaozu versus Nappa could potentially be like our 16 rips off Cell's tail. Like, it's so moldable, so much. The structure of the scene is so like cut around different beats and different emotional states and tempos that it could potentially like work in so many other different scenes if you cut it up right.
Mm-hmm.
It has like, of course, it has to have a big, scary, horrific climax. That's going to be a big, major thing that I demand. And then like a slow, sad, tragic sort of ending. Just like, this is just like how my editor brain is working. I feel like if it's written a specific way, it could like potentially work and be reused when Gohan crushes Vegeta as a giant monkey. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my thought process. But here's
how you edited that track together. Like for a tape track, that was a lot of work.
It was.
That's how. Yeah, you know.
Just listening to it, thinking, such a shame we can't just keep this.
Yeah, I thought it would be a fun watch at least.
You were right.
You succeeded. Keep that for like an extra video down the road.
Yeah, the work that goes into temp tracks alone, sometimes, you know, it's a lot of fun though. Here's the last minute of the episode, which I personally think is great. I don't know if I'd want to change anything about it. I think it's pretty good.
What an extraordinary feat! You see, Gohan, size alone is not enough. You have to have heart and cunning too.
Now you see him, now you don't.
Nappa, he almost had you.
Terribly
You barely
drawn
managed to
Vegeta.
defend.
What? It can't be! Not even a scrape! So that means Chaozu sacrificed himself for nothing!
Chaozu, he's gone. He's already been wished back to life once before. Now not even the Dragon Balls can bring him back! You'll pay for what you've done! Do you hear me? You'll pay!
Fool! Go ahead, make your threats! It doesn't matter how angry you get, you still don't have a chance of beating us! And the funny thing is, you never did!
Yet another of the Earth's defenders has given his life in the struggle against the Saiyans. And with their numbers dwindling, the odds of survival grow slimmer by the minute. Can these few remaining fighters withstand the Saiyan onslaught long enough for Goku to arrive? Or will they fall before the seemingly unstoppable Nappa? Find out as the life and death battle for the Earth continues, next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Boom.
Is that straight from an episode?
That's straight from Goku's Ginyu and Ginyu's Goku.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wasn't sure if you edited it all.
I mean, a couple cuts here and there for timing.
But all the cuts are what I see on the screen, right? Like going directly into the closing music. That was all just as is from the episode.
Yeah, this is all as is.
All right, yeah, because I was like, my brain was like ready for that hit, for the drums to kick in. Yeah, like the bass guitar.
It's only used one other time in the series when Piccolo first meets Cell in the abandoned city.
Yeah.
It's the exact closing theme, because this closing theme is like only like dewdrops and bass and percussion. Like it's a lot simpler. There's no a lot of the extra stuff that's in it that I'm sure you guys know.
Excellent pick.
you could hear that boop, 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 like funky little bass thing, whatever that is. But it also has a bit more of a sense of hopelessness to it, that closing theme. And I wanted a hopeless ending.
Yeah, I wouldn't change the end at all.
Yeah.
That whole string right from sadness through the end, I would keep identical.
I also I don't know, it's not the first time I've done this. I kind of like the edit when you lead in from the beginning straight to the straight to the end section.
Action. Yeah.
Because I did that with Goku and Raditz before too.
That's a very Frieza thing to do too, because they did that a lot with Frieza, right? That they had the beginning and and cut right to the end.
Because I use that track so much. But yeah, there it is. It's got 3 red cards to it, which is pretty good. But like I said, 2 of them are pretty long. Can figure it out later when I put together the thing. What I was thinking.
Good.
What I was thinking for Nappa versus Chaozu, a different temp track also came to mind. It's a ocean dub scene that's not often used. It's one of those ocean dub scenes that I look at and I'm like, damn, that's so much better than what we did. But it's like this really like fast, tense like thing when Goku full Nelson's Raditz, and the music is just like so fast and intense.
A true warrior who is worthy of being a Saiyan.
The timing may be off.
You will have a death that is also worthy of a Saiyan.
Why, you wretch! I should have killed you. Piccolo! Piccolo! Your attack! Let's go!
Well, they did the heartbeat too.
I think that's just in the
Is that in the
sound effect mix.
Okay, because there definitely wasn't a heartbeat for the part that I did right before he actually shoots him.
Oh, well, this is earlier in the episode.
No, I know, but I didn't think there was a heartbeat anywhere. I thought that was something we added.
Oh, maybe you were subconsciously inspired.
Maybe.
But do you see what I mean? Where it's like this super fast low string like thing that just keeps rising and measures this dun 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 dun. Something like that, I feel like could really work for when.
Well, when we George Lucas episode 5, we could put that back in there.
Yeah, exactly. We could put this theme for Chaozu and Nappa. You
But
kind of see what I
that's
mean, though?
just-
How that would
that's
work.
just playing the theme song, right? The
What do you
Rock
mean?
Dragon.
The grabbing thing was I did the kind of quick version of the DBZ theme, but then it goes into Frieza Bags.
No, Vegeta fights Frieza.
Right there? No, I thought it was.
Oh no, maybe a little bit late. Oh no, it plays the theme when Goku grabs Frieza's hand as a Super Saiyan.
Oh right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And guess what? Guess what precedes that? The freaking Spirit Bomb face-off theme.
Oh yeah,
Just
I
briefly.
remember that.
We'll pretend we didn't do that.
Exactly.
Just ignore it. But that's kind of what I had in mind too for this. That kind of reminds me. Speaking of Ocean Dub, there's one red card that I could put it in the temp track now. I found a clean spot, but somewhere in the Calm Bubbles theme. Who's doing that one again?
Rakim.
Rakim, here, like, define gravity. I kind of like say to end it in like a wah wah kind of thing.
Come to think
Well,
I guess.
What I mean by this is copy the ocean dub scene of this, because the ocean dub scene of this is so perfect. It's just there could be no better way to end the scene when I watch it. It's this theme that's this da 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 bum.
Since I left Princess Snakes, would it be okay if we ate before we continued?
Well, I guess. I can cook, but you're going to have to do the dishes. No.
Like, kind of like that. Something similar to that is basically what I'm thinking. And I finally found a clean spot of that, so I can throw that in the next rough cut whenever we find that. Somewhere right before it cuts to Gohan and Krillin, it's like da 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 ba bum.
Krillin! Gohan! Where are you?
Bop, bop, bop.
You got it.
Now I'm starting to learn the ocean dub layout better. But you know, it's just me watching it just to kind of like study the technique and be like, okay, you should kind of do it. That's like how I discovered, like, hey, we should use ice spells more often and processing.
I'm glad you are, because I was trying not to watch the ocean dub so much because I don't want to, you know.
Well, you know, it's like
all the inspiration from it.
We're trying to 50-50 it. Some episodes might feel a bit more ocean dub than others, and some might feel more Faulconer than others.
15 and 17. Well, one track in 15, Dark Choir, but then 17 is an ocean dub episode, like full stop.
Well, yeah, basically. Yeah. So I don't know. When I put up the track list, like when I figure out the Chaozu Nappa scene a little more thoroughly, then one of you guys can raise your hands for it. But that is basically a picture of what I want for that.
Okay, Rakeem, did you have any? Really, I'm looking at the Omega Metroid because of the Metroid music and the Chaozu one. Did you, between the two, did you have a particular preference? They're both long. That's why
No,
okay.
I did not.
What?
Yeah, I don't yet have a preference for either or. Doesn't matter to me for this one.
Okay, I don't really care either way. I was probably leaning more toward the Metroid one, but like I could do either. It doesn't make a difference. I just think we should probably split those two up because those are both, you know, week-long projects. They're massive scenes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It took like, I think it was 2 weeks for Mike to write 16 rips off Cell's tail.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's 6 minutes.
Well, I was just about to say that makes perfect sense because obviously I'm not working full time by any stretch of the imagination on this. But the ape battle is 2 minutes, I think.
It's closer to 3 than 2.
Is it? Okay.
It's like 240 or something.
It took forever, and it's like, God, this track never ends.
I love it so much. It's so good.
I'm very happy with how it came out. It just took a very long time.
Oh, sorry, 215.
Okay.
So good. Where's the part of it?
Oh, it's right after this.
Ha-ho, 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 ha-ho. It's so good. That's like exactly like what I love about the Wasserman score.
I have to tell you, so I knew that he used those different types of sounds. I made it a point to not look at any ape scene because I didn't want to accidentally rip him off. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, you know, I knew roughly what he did, but I certainly wasn't going to accidentally grab the theme itself or whatever he used for it. Because that could easily happen if you like just have it in your head. It's like, all right, I'll just do this and this, and all of a sudden you just recreated a Wasserman track.
Exactly.
Whoops.
And I'm scared to do that. But I do it with Marcelo. Like
specifically tells you to.
Like, yeah. If you just say dual Wasserman track.
I'm looking at the whole first half of 26, just like orange cards. Nothing but orange cards.
I'm gonna look back at that.
Which is good. It's like a break episode. Be right back again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we still have a
25
bunch empty, don't we?
for 25.
And the rest, don't we?
I'm sorry, I don't understand. What were you saying?
The actual list of jobs, there's still some empty ones for those last 3.
Yeah, we haven't gotten. Yeah, he just skipped ahead and started talking about 26. Spirit Bomb Face Off was you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm Tabloid. We'll look at Napa Pounds TN, Napa versus Chat Zoo. I'll leave a question mark for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Evil Vegeta knows it, so I have to look at the scene again. Goku lose King Kai's. Yeah. Devastation, Piccolo versus. I think I remember. I'll do this one because I think I knew how to lead it into the Piccolo versus Piccolo thing. And I think I wanted to do something to the edit for Piccolo versus Piccolo too, like something I wanted to smooth something out. I'll have to tell him when he gets back, but there's something I wanted to smooth out that isn't achievable with editing.
Okay.
Like you actually have to just fix it in the project file.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This was you. And do you want TN dying? I like it when there's an obvious green card.
I guess I can take TN's dying, yeah.
Okay.
And then you'll take what, Napa Pounds TN?
I'll take Napa Pounds TN.
That was definitely an intentional Mike Smith thing I did there. I was definitely like,
that will be the name of the track. Like,
did anyone like it took. I spent way too much time thinking of what to call Big Shot Baba, and then what I ended up with wasn't funny at all. But I just spent like 20 or 30 minutes thinking, like, what do I call this? It's got to be a gun pun. It's like High Caliber Baba. Something stupid.
Can you pull 25 up and just put on what the Evil Vegeta knows the Sun track is? I just want to see it really quick.
Sure.
We filled in the whole rest of the episode. While you're doing that, I'll fill in some of the stuff for the next one.
Yeah, we're on 25, right? Or no,
Right. Yeah, 25 specifically is what I want to look at.
Right, because it's all repeat stuff. Piccolo Lectures go on. That's because I couldn't think of anything better. Main Dragon Ball Z theme. Oh, I'm excited for that. Everyone will be.
What's Nappa's maximum power?
You mean like power level?
No.
Oh no, you wrote it like
you called it that. I don't know what you're referring to.
I don't know what to call it. Maximum Nappa, yeah, like
yeah, but it's an
Nappa.
orange card, but I didn't see it referring back to anything.
Nappa's maximum. Oh, that's 24. That's the Omega Metroid theme.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's why I don't know. That's just what I put.
No, that's fine. I kind of thought that as I was looking at it. Okay.
Yeah. If there's any doubt, you can just pull up the rough cut, and I use the Omega Metroid theme there.
Oh, all right. Easy enough.
Okay, so what do you want to see in this? Is
25? I want to see 742. Evil Vegeta knows the sun. I just want to see what that scene is.
It's one of 2 red cards.
It's now or never, Gohan! Fire!
Oh, this one.
Can't.
Go on!
Now go on!
I put in a lot of embellishments in this one too.
I'm scared.
I didn't know that was an embellishment. I thought that was a sound effect.
No, Gohan!
Oh no! Great! He dodged it! Here goes our surprise!
Sorry, guys. I just froze.
Little return of imminent death.
Oh, I'll never not hear that track in my sleep.
It was a good move. You two almost had me there for a second. Almost. Too bad for you, your little trick didn't work. Now you're gonna die!
I caught the end.
Anyway. Of course you did. You never notice. I really wanted those profit sinks, those to land. Little ET screeching. Sounds like ET.
That's another one that I had to create a little template for how to do it because Ron probably knows how to use the K2500 better than me, but I just do everything in the FX on Reaper and get the same. It sounds close enough to the Ocean dub.
Call him up.
Buddy. So,
Yeah.
Rakeem, do you want that or you want me to do that one? The Evil Vegeta Knows His Son track?
Evil Vegeta Knows His Son.
Which is what we're calling it.
That's a great name.
I think I'll take that one.
You want that one? You got it.
I can trade with you if you want.
No, I'm fine with you on that one. I like the idea just of writing a track called Napa Pounds TN.
It's not even it's literally like me
It's short, right?
Oh yeah, I have it labeled as a orange for some reason. Yeah, it's super short and it's literally just there to like connect to end with low space voices so it'll seamlessly connect into Vegeta Snoozes.
Yeah.
How can you get up after all of that?
Oh,
That's it.
Did no one have any
Marcelo,
objections?
question.
What's up?
Because I know Vegeta talks a lot in these episodes.
Yeah.
Are you doing the voice pitch thing for him?
Oh, of course I am. It's gonna be a lot more work, but it's totally worth it. You know,
Mhm.
these are just rough cuts, so obviously,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's
But
definitely a thing that
I
I have
know
to
it's
do
a
later
lot
down
of
the
work
line.
because he's just going with these lines.
The Toonami promos have him pitched up. When he yells, "Prepare yourself for
I noticed
oblivion."
that.
Mm-hmm.
That was pitched up. All the Toonami promos, when we're bad, well, a little. His voice is pitched up.
Just making sure.
And nobody noticed as far as I could tell. Not a single comment about that.
They will for these. They will.
Mhm.
I maintain that people haven't really watched these as much as they watch the others. At least not our little fan base consists of people who have watched the Frieza saga a billion times.
Yeah.
And Androids and Buu. But I don't know if they revisit these as often. And now they probably will, and will never remember what Chris Sabat actually sounded like.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Sabat's phoned in performance.
Right.
No one had any objection to this scene at all. I mean, I really like this scene personally.
That's a good plan. Nappa's too strong to fight head on.
No, I thought that was great there.
No.
Okay.
No objections.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
'Cause that would be the debut of that track, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was cool there. I thought that was a perfect place because that means you can then reuse it a little later too.
Mhm.
Exactly. Like when Vegeta powers up.
Correct.
But yeah, it's kind of funny how it's like it's a track that was so clearly written to scene, like these computer noises.
confident. Goku makes it back. We'll see if you're still so cocky.
So clearly written for Goku in the capsule, but
Yeah.
it's just used throughout the rest of the show without question. Like, all right, whatever. Cares.
I've been intentionally not using
need
that.
to be there. You really
I
think
re-
about it.
I really love its use in funnily enough, the Super Buu saga when Vegeta comes back and they're fighting the Super Buu with Gohan's shirt. And I think it's really well used there, actually. And I don't compliment the Super Buu episodes too much, you know.
Sure.
I'm looking at these last 3 episodes really quick here. Because we have now successfully filled in 25 in its entirety, unless we add any embellishments or anything.
Yeah.
If you want Tien's death, you can have it.
No questions about that one either. That's pretty simple, right?
Pull it up really quick. Let me see it.
I end it with like the flashback music right here, just for a state of like confusion and awe. And then I include a brief moment of silence over the shot of Tien's hand, kind of like what they did with Vegeta when he dies. There was like a brief moment of silence. And then I have this track slowly ease in.
Too bad. It probably would have worked if Nappa hadn't seen it coming at the last second.
Oh no! Poor Tien. He gave everything he had to help us.
Ah, Goku! Why aren't you here? We need you! Goku!
Who is this?
I could have put a reverb effect to that, but I got lazy when I put together that temp track.
How dare you? It's not like you cut together
How dare you.
8 episodes in a row.
Yeah, it just unceremoniously ends. But yeah, you do something similar to that. I use that theme again in the Tubular Bells. I think will I use it again in episode 26.
And I want to see that, because that dictates
how you'll write it.
If I end up basically, I would want to do it if I could use Tien's theme. If it's not Tien's theme, then if you have a different use for it, then I really don't care either way.
I don't know if you should use Tien's theme. Tien's theme is kind of like, would that work? I don't know. I feel like something
I could make
because
it work.
It could work, actually, if you really.
Maybe I use it a couple more times in episode 26 and 28, Goku's arrival. This is basically like the same thing. Krillin yells, "Goku, where are you? Why aren't you here?" Same exact thing.
Almost there!
Goku!
Please, hold on, guys! I'm coming!
And then it transitions into Frieza Begs, which has some Tubular Bells going on.
But that's for the end part, right?
So what do you suggest we do, Piccolo? What?
Because I don't know, I kind of like the way I edited Frieza Begs here, because it's like Piccolo's like, well, suck it up, we're in a hopeless situation, and the music kind of like conveys that a little bit here.
What happens if Goku doesn't make it?
Who knows? We all know that Goku is on his way here. Maybe he'll make it in the next 2 hours, and maybe he won't. But whether or not he gets here, we're going to have to see our way through this thing together. We can't just give up because things aren't the way we want them to be. We need to be strong.
Yeah.
Okay, but the Tubular Bells part from the track called Tien's Death are from the end portion of that track in 25, right? Not the beginning.
It's near the end. The Tubular Bells, because the way the scene's structured in 25, the Tubular Bells would probably like come in around the time, Krillin starts yelling, "Goku, why aren't you here?"
Because what I was picturing is you take Tien's theme, Sparring Arena, and really slow it down and pick it like a portion of it and make it sad, and then around that point you do the big crescendo, and then that's when you start bringing in the stuff that's, I'll call it more generic, not TN specific. And that was what I didn't know, if you'd used the latter half of it.
Oh, the latter half is definitely it. The latter half should be more generic, and that's what I plan to. The latter half is what would be used in this scene.
Okay, and if that's the case, then is it cool if I do that one, Rakeem?
Yeah.
So I'll give myself Tien's death, and that's how I would
Slow.
structure it then. The beginning would be a somber version of Sparring Arena, and then just leading it into generic, sad Goku aren't you here yet music.
Because I use it here again too, because it's supposed to have like a sense of like, we're too late, it's hopeless, like Goku's on his way, but man, he's too late, or essentially is the feeling I want to convey. And I like that feeling, that I feel like it could work in this scene as well. But I guess I also use the somber melody here. So I'm wondering here is if you should take the Sparring Arena melody in the first half or not, or if you should just make it, a generic sad theme. And I'm wondering, because I kind of have the way it's structured in this scene too. Not that we have to use Tien's death here, but it's kind of the same deal.
Man.
Hey, not too bad, kid. That made my arm numb. All right, then. It's my turn.
Ah, that one shot must have drained all of his energy. His power level has returned to normal.
They're too strong. We just can't stop them.
Kind of see what I'm kind of
I
going
see
for
what you're
here.
talking about. Let me give it a shot. I think I have an idea of what to do with it.
Okay.
What I'm thinking is I could almost write it as a standalone thing, and then the Tien Sparring Arena melody is grafted onto it almost as an embellishment that can be removed just as easily.
You can work that? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you do it as like Windork or something, and then it's just this extra thing on top of it, and the rest of it Space Force, whatever, you could do that, and then you just yank it right out, and then you just have Space Voices.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I can picture it now. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it just leads into the Tubular Bells part for the second half. Yeah, I think that would work. I'll just have to make sure I remember to. I'm going to put a note here. Right. Big action.
That hardcore change.
Just like, yeah, bring in that exciting 74 square.
That I had to dig for. That stupid sound.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, what a pain in the ass Tien's theme was.
No. I found the bad version of it, by the way.
What do you mean the bad version?
The one that I did like last summer when I was using.
Oh, you did? Really?
Yeah, I found it.
Can you put it in the group chat?
The first version.
The first version. I'll dump it in group chat later. It's bad.
It was so early. Like, it was like, what do you guys think about this? And I was like, okay, it's good, but
in my defense, I have two defenses. I have two very valid defenses. Defense number one is
presenting defense evidence number one.
Exhibit A. I did not know how to get sound directly from the Alesis into the software at that point. That was like about a week before Rakeem was like, "All right, yeah, let me help you with this. Let's spend your money." And then, so that's number one.
Let's spend your money.
Number two, I actually wrote that. My boss was off that week, and I wrote that at work. And I have this really shitty pair of headsets at work. And when I went back and re-listened to that track at work with that bad pair of headphones, it sounded a lot better than it did on every other device I ever used to listen to. So you have to believe me that it didn't sound like complete garbage on those crappy headphones, which cost $7.95. But
the headphones don't lie, so
yeah, those do.
Those do.
Those very much do. But yeah, But I will place that in group chat, and you can compare it later.
Wow.
The composition
wait.
is not bad.
I actually still listen to your end of 74.
Oh,
sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the thing that you never bothered putting together as a rip?
It's a lot of work. All right, y'all act like putting together a rip is something I can just do in my like. It doesn't take like hundreds of hours to do.
That episode is more complicated than I remembered it being because it jumps around a whole lot, and there's a lot of like short snippets of tracks that then just go away seconds later.
Yeah,
it's the first episode in the series that feels edited.
Yeah.
Because before that, especially before that, in episode 73, Gohan defeat your dad, it all feels like it was like written, like the whole episode was just written.
Newly, yeah.
And that's the first one that really feels like cut up and moved around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's bad; it's actually pretty good.
It
but,
sure is.
Yeah. It sure is. Like the ending is perfect. It's like the best ending in the show.
That's why I wanted to do it. I love the ending.
Yeah. There is one episode in particular that I feel like we can literally just take that and use it. It's perfect. I'm pretty sure I've shown it to you guys. It's the ending to, I don't remember which episode number it is. It's Unknown Enemies.
Remember. It's when Dende is there, right?
No, it's episode 58, Unknown Enemies. Like perfect setup for that closing theme.
EMU Force has answered.
That for positive. Left out here all by myself, okay?
Yeah. Like you can just tell.
Yeah, you can hear the cartoon.
Like it ends on this Dalian shot of Krillin. And this is when the closing theme hits.
The Special Assault Team, known as the Ginyu Force, has answered Frieza's call and is on.
I don't know if you guys can picture it.
I can absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Because he's already. It starts with Krillin.
Wait here while Gohan and I visit Guru and get him
Out here all by myself,
We'll be back.
okay?
You gotta trust me. First of all, we'll be back before you know it. And second, when we do return, Vegeta won't stand a chance against me and Gohan.
Yeah, I know. I heard it.
It's okay. It's hard. I know.
Planet Namek.
Just for
once these mercenaries arrive,
Oh.
Frieza will.
You can hear the Kikuchi music too. It's clearly a rough cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a whole bunch of like crudely edited scenes. This is like a really old folder. I don't know what this is.
It's most likely not to control it.
Your bags!
I guess this is like this is like one of those like, hey, we really need to use this theme for this scene. I guess.
Just like ideas.
Going to Namek! We'll have Yamcha and everyone back in no time!
Namek, here we come!
A day of sorrow has become a bright hope.
What's that?
I said you gotta do the point.
Yeah, that's gotta be embellished. But yeah, that whole scene. This one, oh, that's an old one. This is like, anyway, can't use that because it's Piccolo versus 17. Anyway,
Rakeem, did you want from 26? I don't know if you remember it. Piccolo lectures Gohan.
Ooh, I actually don't remember which one this is.
I remember what it is. I just remember why I watched it. I thought that would work for you because you've done so many Gohan and Piccolo interactions.
It's a slow scene that basically like very carefully teases a little help from a friend because, like I said before, I tease a little help from a friend a lot of times, but don't outright use it until Piccolo dies. And this is another one of those careful, like, we tease it.
If it wasn't
The
for
temp
me,
track even
Tien
uses
would still
it.
be alive.
It hurts, doesn't it? Facing your fears would have been much less painful.
Hey, go easy on him, Piccolo. You know, given his age and everything, I think it's a miracle that he's even out here at all. I mean, if it were me, I probably would have been long gone by now.
Thanks, Krillin.
Gohan, you know how to fight. Remember your training.
But I'm not ready. We still have 2 hours. Maybe you can train me some more while we're waiting.
The training is complete. I taught you everything I know. Just go home.
But Piccolo...
Wait, Piccolo.
Gohan, it's true. I taught you everything. You're ready.
Gohan, come back! Wait a second, we need you! He doesn't really want you to go! Come on, tell him, Piccolo! Gohan!
Hey, you little brat! You better run home! We wouldn't want you getting hurt!
Yeah.
I'll take it.
You tease a little help from a friend, and then you rudely interrupt it.
I saw that. It always reminds me of Gohan angers in the Unleashing. I believe it's
when the violin comes in.
Mm-hmm. And his
And
gang.
he's like, yeah, this is awesome. And then it's interrupted by what's it called? A big bass note. What's it? What's that bass note called? We used it for Goku's butt.
Oh, yeah, in 14. I forget.
But it's always used for Hercule.
Whatever preset or bank to number 40 is.
Big upright.
Big upright, thank you.
Big upright. It was just like all this exciting music. Then it just cuts to one big upright bass, like boom, boom, boom.
I was so upset.
Just no music.
Why are you guys even here in the first place? Go home.
I don't know. I find them really funny though.
I may have told you this, Marcel, but your idea to put that in 14, when I showed that to my wife, she just laughed so hard.
It was perfect too. What you added was so perfect.
As soon as I heard what I had just done, I was like, okay, yeah, I can't argue with this.
It was so boom. Yeah. That's why I love it too, because it's a weirdly diverse instrument, because I love the way it's used in what was it, that Gohan and Goten train track that's used all throughout the tournament. Oh god, another one of my favorites. Like I said, Trunks Story and this track are like some of my favorites. Do you know what track I'm talking about though? It's the one it's literally like a looping piano melody. It's like, is it piano? It's like dun 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 dun.
Did we use that, or am I wrong?
No, it's clearly a like a tournament era track.
Oh, okay.
It's a very warm track. I love it so much. It's you know what I'm talking.
Gohan and Goten training.
Yeah.
Number one.
I need your help, bro.
Right here.
Can you assist me in an exercise?
Yeah.
There. That ought to be enough.
Number one. When are you gonna tell me what we're doing, huh?
It's
But
simple.
like listen to the bass line. It's
This is the
so
one you
warm.
have like an extended version of on your YouTube channel.
Because I love that track so much. The bass is just like boom 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
It's a really great track.
There's a lot of, everyone hates the Saiyaman arc. There's a lot of great music in it. It's
I'm
so
one of them.
good.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god. Like, do you remember the piano bit at the end of the Saiyan theme? They use it again when Goten and Gohan are like, Goten's like, Gohan, what was Dad like? And he's like, he was like an angel, and it's playing this very sweet piano music, and it's the end of the Saiyan theme.
Mm-hmm.
It's like bum 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 ba-da-dum, bum bum. I can't really do it.
I know what you're referring to. The one that isn't
don't
rippable.
remember.
You can't rip Blackmail because there's a portion of it that you can't get rid of the sound effects, and I don't think it repeats anywhere else.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, if you look at Koikev's channel, I don't think he has it.
No, he doesn't.
I've tried
but
to
I know
rip that one, and
I ripped
everything
the
is
carnival music.
yeah. There's well, most of it's super clean. I think there's a fire at one point or something.
Oh, that's in Gohan's first date.
Because I was able to
Oh,
get
there's
the rest
that-
of the episode very clean.
Look, there's that
Yeah,
owl again.
But he's
What
wearing
the hell?
It's a different hat though.
Oh wow.
It's just colored differently.
Yeah,
Huh,
he has
that owl is definitely from something. Now we know.
But not Dr. Slump.
I guess not. And some other
because I looked.
Toriyama property.
What's my compete in the tournament, Gohan? Of course you can.
Good night, Goten.
Love that.
Good night,
track.
Gohan.
Hey, you're gonna help me train, aren't you? I'm gonna need a real strong training partner.
Sure. Gohan,
Hmm?
what's my dad like?
He's like an angel, Goten.
What's an angel like?
I don't know. I just know that when they're around, you feel happy inside.
So perfect.
That's one thing I will say though. The Great Saiyaman Saga had awesome music.
Mhm.
I think it was like top of the line. That was like their peak music and editing in combination. Like the editing was so good. That's what I strive to be, is that quality level of editing is those episodes, because that's when they were like, they knew what the hell they were doing.
I think it peaked in Getting You Assault, but that's just me.
Me too.
No way. Like the punch machine scene is the single best written to scene comedy scene in the entire show, in my opinion.
I do love the punch machine. The punch machine is hysterical.
Yeah.
The music does amplify it.
It's so yeah, there's nothing funnier than that music. The like each sting that goes higher and higher and higher.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's like I said, I'm a hard defender of the tournament Saiyaman episodes because the music was just so good.
It was. It really was.
I mean, I'll happily rewatch those filler episodes over the Saiyan Saga ones.
Oh, come on. I revisit episode 10 every day.
Uh-huh. Okay, 20. Are we on 27 now?
Yeah, I've actually already successfully filled in virtually all of 28.
Oh yeah, you did.
Just because it's like as we've been going, it was becoming pretty apparent what where. So
Mhm.
Half the time when I'm writing red cards, I feel like I'm like, this would be a good Rakim track. This would be a good Joe track. Like they'll have to fight over this one or whatever, you know. Vegeta senses Goku. That's not so much a red card as it is like a short. That's also like a really rough scene, because it's like compounded orange cards, and the more orange cards there are back to back, the more unpredictable it is. It's like a basic. It's like I said, it's all a basic rough outline. Vegeta sensing Goku could be entirely unnecessary in the future because the way Goku leaves King Kai could completely change the way that scene works, just how you write it. See what I mean? So like, the farther down we get, this is why we need to do these episodes in order, but the farther down we go, the more like unpredictable some orange card scenes can be structured.
True.
And that was actually a question. I don't think there are any example. None of these orange cards need to be written for later episodes, do they?
The only orange card I think I would ask you to consider, consider other scenes for, maybe I could put like an asterisk by them, basically saying, hey, could you please pay attention to later scenes with them? is like Vegeta and Nappa arrives, definitely like one of them. Because those are like, there's only like 2 scenes with them, and they're pretty big scenes. The Fallen is pretty important because it kind of like needs to work to 3 very dramatic scenes. Oh, Spirit Bomb, not Spirit Bomb Face Off, Spirit Bomb Test. That also I would like to, for you to carefully consider the alternate scene with it. Goku leaves Kinkai, I feel, just write that one to scene, and I'm sure it'll work for other scenes. Focus on one scene with that one.
Okay.
Since there aren't too many of these, when you put together the folders that have the different jobs in them, can you include both the base scene plus the other really important relevant ones for these, just so we have them accessible?
That's what I do. Something like Spirit Bomb Face Off, that's so simple and like generic, like it should work just fine. Yamcha's Death, no, that'd probably be fine. The Fallen, that's a big one, yeah. As you can see, I used Yamcha's Death when Nappa punches off Tien's arm. I feel like because of the horrific way it ends, it should probably work there too. I doubt I'll need to write a new red card for that. That should work just fine. And I'd like to reincorporate it since we just used it. Other than that, Evil Vegeta, nope, that's just one scene for that. There's
Ricky,
oh,
sorry.
Yeah,
Ricky, were you doing Yamcha's Death? I forget.
I don't think that one is me. I have after.
You're the Fallen. All right. I'll kill Yamcha then too.
Okay.
All right. Give us a big fat rolling horn.
The disrespect. After all he did. He only messed up a little bit.
He steps up. He is very, very successful in that entire battle, other than just he didn't kill the Saiyan.
Exactly. And he turned around and gloated.
Well, you never turn around and gloat.
Exactly.
You shouldn't have done it. Am I allowed to say I'm very, very proud of that little embellishment I did in the recap of like 18 or 19? I think it's 19. When Goku falls and lands on Kinkai's planet on a splat, I added a little rolling horn. I love that. So I don't know how that hit me, but I was like, oh yeah.
It was brilliant. Love that.
I like the occasional subtle embellishments to the recap music. You don't want to overdo it, but oh, that also reminds me. In episode 22, I basically very poorly copied an edit from a Garlic Jr. episode recap, where I threw in a liquid stack near the end that leads into like the closing theme, but the liquid stack is too low. It's clearly not like the right pitch it should be.
Okay. That's easy.
So yeah, it's just a reverse liquid stack. Probably like up the intensity on it though, or the velocity on it. I think it's 22.
Goku's Goku speed he has launched into the for a day still remains in Goku's journey, but the Saiyans attack today.
Pretty sloppy. A higher liquid stack would probably work much better. But I'm literally copying an edit from a Garlic Jr. episode. It's a pretty good edit, honestly. If you heard that.
Yeah, I heard it. Sounds like it's like 1 or 2 notes higher.
I might have to re-edit it a little bit.
Sweets?
You don't have them?
This is my big folder, full of them. What's annoying is some of the ones I downloaded from Koikev include the intro for some reason.
Yeah, he used to do that sometimes.
It's so annoying. I hate that when I just want to, especially when I'm scrolling through recaps I want to use for an episode, and I pull this up. Not that. Not that. And the first thing I hear is, it's like no one wants to listen to that. I just want to hear the noise for the recap music.
Rakeem, you don't have this whole folder somewhere?
I don't think so. I mean, No, there are some things that I know I don't have.
That's how my folder's organized. That's all the suites are here. Right next to this unreleased Faulconer episode edits. This is the most important. This is one of the most important folders I have. It's got everything in it.
Wow.
This is where I keep everything.
Wow.
And it crashed.
Here it is.
And it crashed. Was it
In
all
all
in room terror? Latest one. All this shit Joe sends me. Yajirobe cartoon and
yeah.
Sometimes I make subfolders for things that have like multiple elements to it. I want to keep it organized for future use.
Mm-hmm.
Figaro.
Hmm.
Kids evade. Go on trips, embellishments. Kids versus cops and adults. Oh, I never even mentioned how much I fell in love with this track. It's so good, and I like had to use it for Gregory. And I'm still trying to find. I mean, it's a little too goofy to be used in the Saiyan battle, but I'm sure it has a future use somewhere in the future.
Sorry, I was just looking at this. Do you copy over? Do you actually have a unique independent copy of every track that you use in every given episode?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really smart.
Yeah. So it's like always there, and
that's really smart.
I try to keep it organized because otherwise this would be a giant freaking mess.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like a reaper folder.
Right.
Oh yeah, like your reaper. It's a snake. Yeah, like charming serpents, and this is all bunch of crap battle. But yeah, then I can just easily. That's what I mean when I'm like perusing later episodes. I'm like, and I want to use something that I just have everything nice and organized. This is like one of the worst. I don't know.
Whoa.
Eight for some reason was a huge mess.
It didn't even have that many tracks. I guess it needed a lot of embellishments though.
Yeah. I wasn't smart enough to make subfolders for some things because you would like send me a transit. You'd send me a transition with like 8 different elements in it, and I'm like, okay, all right, I can make this work.
Because they overlap each other. You need them independent.
It's better for mixing, but boy, oh boy.
Embellishments, dream strings.
Mm-hmm.
Embellishments, cartoon.
That's how I do it. Unless they're totally separate, then it's just an embellishment track.
Oh no, Gaz and Mez was a real mess because I think just the way it's my fault the way I organized it because all because of the baseball scene. And it just became such a confusing mess. And when I had to put together the singles, I'm like, where the hell did I put that Mez theme? Or I just couldn't figure out where everything was.
It's like one of the best themes in the episode too.
I know. Wow, 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 wow. Every time it gets to that part, my lips follow along.
Sing it.
Yeah. So this is where all the magic happens in a blank folder. It's being copied onto this giant fucking drive. Oh, it's not. That's right. The camera's over there. Hi.
Oh wow. True. Okay.
My book. 8
That's
terabytes. You could fit like 3 or 4 of my computers onto that little book. Any further questions about the Saiyan battle?
We just have to finish off this one episode here. It's 27.
Oh yeah, 27.
I think you kind of quickly went through who you thought for each of the red cards, but I don't remember who you said for what.
Ooh, space is ugly.
Oh yeah. In case it wasn't obvious where I want to reuse that track. And I very carefully, very specifically looked at both scenes, and I'm like, okay, and counted the beats, how many that needed to be used. So Nimbus speed update. Because I counted, it's like 5 beats, and then after the 5th beat, then you start like dun, 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 building up to a cliffhanger. Is it this one? So it should work with like both scenes.
Break!
1 beat, 2 beats, 3 beats, 4.
What's wrong, Namek?
And I like the little transition into the alien theme. But yeah, obviously that's another scene where I'd be like, please pay attention to the other scene as well and how that will probably be used. So I'll probably cut something for that, whoever wants that.
King, I'll defer to you.
Not sure yet. Let's come back to that one.
Okay. I had the suspicion that Rakeem was going to want the one called Gohan Wax Nappa.
Oh yeah, that's a good scene.
That's a really good sequence at the end of that episode.
Yeah, it's a really good sequence. What an ugly mug. Nice hairstyle though. I think I was so taken aback by that line because I laughed so hard when I rewatched those episodes and that I was not expecting that. That and the David and Goliath line are so bizarre.
Haven't you ever heard the story of David and Goliath?
It's so bizarre that Piccolo would be referencing a biblical story to Nappa.
And he's only like the age of Gohan.
Yeah, he's technically
younger.
like 5 years. He's like 8 years old, I think. Toriyama didn't care.
He didn't.
This is a red card. What is this? Oh yeah, Krillin. This whole sequence, obviously, we will change it. Leave it for now because there's enough work to be done. Honestly, we'll reevaluate this whole episode. This episode has a lot. Like, I don't know. This episode's very unfinished. Is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Because I agree with you. Goku versus Jason Birder should go. The only reason I included it is because I'd be like, hey guys, check this out. Isn't this cool?
And it was.
That was very cool. I wanted to cut it out as soon as I heard it, but I loved it.
Yeah, look at it on the timeline. Like no cuts until the end.
I could tell it was matching the basic scene very cleanly.
Yep.
Hey, Jake, Dad, where are you?
That's it.
Some sexy drums.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just wanted to put it in there just to show you guys, even though I know it's not right for the scene.
Can always write something close to it.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, it would make more sense to lean heavy on the Krillin near the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we probably get to that, you can do it if you want, Ricky. I know you love Krillin.
I do. And I
this
feel
is Krillin.
He has a lot of his own stuff, actually.
This is Krillin's big moment. This one, you want to be careful because when I threw in the temp track, it's a little fun and exciting, but then you got to be careful because it might be a big rapid tone change into Dark Choir. So, I mean, it gets really serious real fast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more like a give it like a slower choir version. You can make the first half more fun if you want. But then here, this kind of probably needs to be a bit more serious. Still make it exciting, but make it not like a whiplash in tone when Dark Choir kicks on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll leave it up to you guys to figure that out. Vegeta, since it's Goku, just leave that one alone because it could turn into it's more of a green card really than it is a red card. Also, I'm struggling trying to figure out what to do with this part at the beginning because I initially, I think I don't know what I initially put in there in the rough cut when Goku shows up, but I tried desperately to try and get Goku and Piccolo arrive to work here, but it's just isn't.
Hang in there, guys! I'm coming! Faster, Nimbus! Faster!
It's just so short, you know?
Yeah.
Like I had to chop it in half and it still is a little long. And I had to start it way sooner than I originally intended. I wanted the Z guitar melody to kick on like over this shot, but if I do that, then you're barely going to hear anything. It's only like 5 seconds long.
I mean, if you want the DBZ theme there, like we could just do a short new DBZ theme, probably with some choir there too.
We could.
Because it's not like you'd never be able to use it.
Yeah, we could probably do that. But again, I think it's another thing where it's like this is like episode 7 down the line. So maybe we could reevaluate it as we go along.
Well, the other thing I'm thinking, this is 27, right?
Yes.
So there is a chance you'll be able to grab something from the end of 26 and put it there.
Yes, you're right. You're very much, yep. So
I'd probably put that maybe as a potential orange card.
Well, it does have the little orange logo above it, so that's me like trying to figure out what to put here.
Yeah, I could see it work. I mean, what you have there, I agree. It doesn't, that particular track doesn't fit just because of what you're trying to achieve, but the DBZ thing could go there, I think, in some capacity.
You gotta, yeah, it's a real short scene, so you gotta wrap it up fast. But yeah, you might be right. It might be. Let's just worry about it later, I say. Spirit Bomb face off really works here. I almost considered using King Kai's strategy here, just because it's kind of neglected after King Kai's over with. But I know there will be plenty of room to use it later. During the Vegeta battle, and especially during picking up the pieces when King Kai is looking for Planet Namek. I think it'd fit really well there too. I don't know. Any further thought? Oh yeah. This scene. Gohan whacks Nappa. You remember? Yeah, you guys can fight over who wants this one, but it's a really good scene, honestly. And like you guys said, there's no objection to using to teasing Gohan fights Frieza, because that's kind of what I want to do at the end of the scene.
Oh, I remember.
Okay, brat! You die!
I don't believe it.
Gohan, was that you?
Yeah.
So what I would say is one of us does that one, the other replaces Goku versus Jason Birder.
That's a great idea.
And I don't care which is which. I'm happy with either. So I will completely defer to you on which of the two you would prefer.
I would take Goku versus Jason Birder.
You got it.
Just cause.
You know the time code on that, Marcel?
When that starts?
Yeah.
It is 8 on the money.
Okay.
Or 7:59.
And then I'll probably want. Well, no, I want Krillin's Destructo Disc.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna give you that one.
Everything else.
Oops.
is yours for the taking.
Okay. For 759, what I just put Gohan versus Nappa, but that wasn't accurate. What would it be?
759. Nappa versus Gohan and Krilla. It's Jason Berta.
Krilla, you really did that. I like it.
Cheese and butter. Nappa versus cheese and butter. This is like one of the best episodes of the whole Saiyan battle, honestly. In my opinion, it might be my favorite episode of the first half. Just because so much cool stuff happens in it. The animation's pretty stellar, even though it's an Ebisawa episode. I tried to squeeze in Nappa's theme one last time.
Vegeta senses Goku. Joe, you can see that as well.
All right,
if that's gonna be a card, if
it
ends up being one.
It's real short, but yeah.
That's fine. I put that as me, but to be determined based on before it. And Piccolo kills the Cyberman. That was from which?
That was from 24.
Oh, all right. That's why it's not here. Okay.
Yeah. That's like again, that's another big if variable because the scene's not even written yet.
Right.
But I was thinking like during the whole Fallout part when the music's a little bit calm and I thought that could work maybe when he's talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Fool! Your life is mine to take whenever I want. The only reason you're still breathing is because we need you to tell us about the Dragon Balls.
Something simple. But again, big maybe. It can be changed entirely. This whole middle section, yeah, not 100% sure. It's this is probably the biggest this episode's probably the biggest uncertain episode. But it's one of the last ones, so it's not a big deal. We'll figure it out when we get there.
Joe, do you want a new job from episode 17?
17.
I was gonna do it.
17? Which one?
There's 2 left.
I feel like you should do it.
It's
mine, but you can have it if you want it.
What is it?
The snake wade.
Whatever you want to do. But you're still gonna do the pickle. You're still gonna do the Piccolo's lesson thing, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. I did have one quick question for you, Rakeem, since it's your track. But the way I end this scene.
That's it. Your turn.
Is that that final note? Is that Henya?
Yes.
The dun dun ding.
It is.
Okay. Do you think you could send me that lone note, that lone Henya note, and let it die out naturally, just so I can kind of intersplice it and make that sound more natural? Because that's a reverb effect you're hearing.
Yeah. Just remind me somewhere, and I'll look at it when I'm going back into the battle track.
Perfect.
When I go back into Reaper next.
Perfect.
Now you said write a very specific Snake Way melody. What's your idea with very specific?
I don't know. When I wrote that, I basically
just admit you were drunk.
Just set up the next track. That's it. And go upwards. End the track upwards, so you can set up the next track. That's it.
Can you just hit play for a second? I just want to hear how it goes.
But this is only if you would like to take it, Joe.
I don't like.
I can do it.
So here's where I'm at. I gotta finish the thing from 18 with the end of Snake Way, and then there's 2 more things left. There's a short. There's 1 or 2 blue cards, I think, and then there's 1 more short red
18?
card. 18.
Oh yeah, the Calliope theme that I also need from the game.
Yes. Well, so that's Bubbles' theme. So that's you.
Oh, there's a short little bit when Goku's being pushed down by the gravity and he's trying to get up.
Right.
Extremely simple.
Right. So I have that. I have to finish the other one, which is obviously the bigger, higher priority. And then that one. And then if there were any, we also talked about possibly doing something with the Popo's lesson track, just to smooth that out if we decide to do that at all.
Yeah, we might need to smooth that out a bit.
So as far, I'm just really what I'm just trying to think through as far as timing, because I want to make sure that all of this stuff gets done like by the very beginning of next week, so we can make sure you have enough time to edit everything out, put these 2 episodes together. So Rakeem, where are you?
Let me do it then.
Okay.
I'll just do it.
That's fine.
I'm gonna finish the battle track soon.
Okay.
Perfect.
And I'll just move on to the rest of 17. After that. All the other little things that I have. The other 2.
Don't forget, we're trying to finish 18 as well, so we also need that Bubbles theme as well.
Okay.
It'll be a fun one because it leads into the closing theme.
I remember that. Oh wait.
Do you want me to pull up Old Kai's dance to inspire you while we're doing this?
I don't know why y'all hate that track. That's a good track. It's fine.
I mean,
It's goofy. It's really funny when Goku goes up to him and he's like, it's playing Old Kai's track, and he's just like, aren't you being a little strict?
Aren't you being a little strict?
it is funny.
I'm fine with it in the context of the episode. It is not one that I frequently revisit outside of the context of actually watching the episode.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a decent comedy track.
I think, you know what my issue with it was? I expected something different. And I think that's why it's irked me all these years. Because it's not that I have a problem with the track itself. I just pictured something different in my head for that character. Recognizing that he's clearly a gag character.
Yeah, he's basically Supreme Kai Master Roshi.
Right, that's exactly what he is. He wants to go on a date with Bulma.
Depending on which dub or translation you're reading.
Right. I don't think you saw I had air quotes around that.
I didn't. Sorry.
Okay. By the way, for bonus videos, I edited together Namek from Taiketsu, and I wanted to at some point put that up against the actual scene so people could see like what this grew out of, like how I took the Game Boy track and I had to cut it up. Like,
should do that with all your adaptations.
That's not a bad idea. I could do that.
Let's play wedding music first when you put out Don't Cry.
Taco Bell's canon D. Regarding timing and as far as like releases and stuff, because I think I've been thinking about this a lot. I think concurrent with 17, we should put some type of short video out just saying, hey, look, here's the deal, here's the game plan. Don't you're getting 18, but then you're gonna have to wait for a little bit. I'd be okay with I'm fine to record it if you're sick of hearing your own voice, Marcel.
I am.
And then just put some B-roll clips or whatever over it. Maybe even toss in if people actually listen to the whole because the basic explanation is we were planning on doing a hiatus after 20 regardless, and work commitment just pushed it up to after 18. But for anybody who sticks around for my blathering for 3 minutes, maybe even toss in an actual preview clip from one of these Saiyan Battle episodes, maybe not a new track, but hear it edited together or something. Maybe something using something from 17 actually would be a decent idea.
Well, yeah, once you officially announce the hiatus, then it's it's almost feeling like you guys can just go at whatever pace about it you want. And I don't know, you guys can put together a bonus video themselves, without me, if it's possible.
I plan on doing that. I have a bunch of ideas written down on various different things. Rakeem, if you wanted to write any extra tracks or whatever, in all of our spare time as we go through these, however many tracks we're doing. But I might start putting in a mega folder.
you'll still be here to like go through the changes. I mean, you'll still be available.
Yeah, for like the editorial process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You mean as far as like as we complete tracks, just dump them in like we do, like we always do, like throw them in the group chat and you can hear them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's what time is it? Greenwich time. It's like it's like 4:45 a.m. in London right now. So it would probably be like, well, King, you're usually up this hour.
I am.
By the time like in like 4 hours when Joe usually wakes up, I might be up. So I might be up around the same time Joe is, just because Joe is a weird vampire. So that's what I mean. Though it's like I'll tune in when I can.
Yeah.
But you know, it's yeah. I'll still be around for the editorial process and answer any questions, etc.
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. We can keep going, and as long as you're able, when you, on your whatever time you're on, as long as you're able to hear stuff and say, I like this, keep this, do something different or whatever, even if you can't necessarily play with it within the context of different episodes, as long as you can get enough of a sense of it that it probably works, that we could just move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Plus, like, you guys get it at this point too. Like a lot of the time, you know what a scene calls for and what we all want, basically. Like you guys just get it most of the time. I'm here to make your lives more difficult is basically what I'm here for. Sorry again about the end is near.
I was very upset at that process, because it didn't have to end like it didn't have to be the way that it was just so much for. I was trying to force it, and then
honestly, I didn't know you were making another full version of the track, and then
I did.
It's
I understood that was what you're doing, and
it's my fault. It is my fault. Yeah,
I should have only fit it if it was new.
I should have blown the whistle sooner and said, "Hey, wait. What if we can do it this way?" You know. Yeah. I'm sorry.
The real reason I was upset is because it ended up being the exact way that I originally thought that it could be done. Just give it to Marcelo in its full form.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're past all that now.
It's okay, but he has bad news, and he wanted to break it to you now about your battle track at the end of 17. You're gonna have to.
I know, right?
Like,
just start
this
over.
Is pretty good. This is pretty good, but
he tells me to start over all the time.
You know what? When I do have comments and criticisms and need changes, don't I always open with compliments first?
We know at this point.
I'll be like, I think you did a fantastic job with that, tubular bell here. I thought this was great. You built tension really nicely in the first half. Now
we're just waiting for that part.
I'm waiting for the cards to fall. The rest of it. Which
part does he hate?
Maybe you should try doing this, and then in like a couple seconds later, another message, and maybe do this for this part.
You know what? I'll just make a video.
Wait, let me ask you a question. Hold on, cutting a video now. It'll show up.
Yeah,
and it does. I can't criticize. It's just funny.
Yeah, it works. You do what you do very well.
Work my magic at your expense.
So yeah, looks like everything else other than when we fill in 24, everything else is good to go. And is it your plan then when you do get back after you start knocking out some of these, you could start releasing them? Are you going to run through 29 through 35?
Yeah, maybe not right away. Like I said, all these new tracks are going to heavily influence it.
Yeah, sure.
So maybe I might need another week or so just to plan that out a little bit.
But the idea is to like not stop after 28, but keep going and finish off those last 7, right?
Us in general?
Oh, you mean like in a row?
weekly.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it depends how well we're doing.
If you do the math, just so you have a sense of this, because I've done the math because I'm a nerd. If we started going back to the original concept of breaking after 20, if we started, I think it was like November 16th, is right in the middle of November. It puts the end date in the middle of February. So backs up to the end of February, beginning of March, if you add these 2 extra episodes in. If you think about it in terms of the speed that we're doing stuff, on average, 2-ish weeks to compose all the new tracks for any given episode. I think that's probably been pretty consistent for us.
Yeah, because we knock out about on average 2.5 episodes for the past per month for the past 6 months we've been doing.
Right. So I'm thinking that it's at least potentially feasible that we can burn through the whole back section, especially since you're going to have a lot of carryover with the orange cards.
Yeah.
So it could at least be the goal. If we were to continue, if we weren't taking any type of break whatsoever, by the way, bi-weekly episodes ends in mid-April. Just to give you a sense of that. That puts 35 at about April 15th.
I think we can do weekly, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know. It's up to you guys, honestly.
Yeah.
Thing to do.
It's already late enough.
I'm fairly conscious at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. It is tomorrow. Where's your track?
We're waiting.
Sometime. Tomorrow.
I have to get up in 4 hours.
Don't forget that part.
Oh no. Well, I guess we could wrap it up.
Yeah, but I think I'm glad we did this. Glad we got through so much stuff. And by the way, Marcella, before you leave for your extended leave of absence, you will have the eye catch music, my version of it.
Rakeem, where's yours?
Mine's coming up as soon as I'm done with 18. You got
See,
sorry.
Now that is a bonus video you guys can put together without me. I'm just saying.
Dueling eye catches.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like eye catchers.
I keep forgetting about that. All of the real jobs are in the way.
Yeah.
But that's my focus. That's what it should be.
That's the priority.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Get to it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But I guess we're done here.
Yeah.
I feel like we've really gone through it. Been pretty thorough.
Yeah, I think we're in good shape to get through that stuff.
If it's necessary to meet again for any reason, just know that I'll be off the rest of the week. So now's your chance.
So
anything to say?
Tomorrow, basically.
Tomorrow.
I'm dying to mix your Snake Way track, but you take your time.
You're welcome, by the way.
No, I'm just excited. Finally, it's the end of filler.
Woohoo!
It's not just the track, it's what it represents.
That is true. I will give you a nice big explosion up out of a flying snake in heaven so that snake can fly away and not be seen again for a while.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm off to bed, but nice seeing you guys as always.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Catch up with you guys later.
All right.
Yeah. Like we don't freaking talk every day.
I talk to you guys more than my wife. That's all. All right, we're gonna edit that part out of this video. I will see you guys later.
Yeah, right. That's staying in.
Staying in.
All right. I'm ending this. I'll see you guys
later.
Bye.